Live from the virtual world center of racing, we welcome you to Maconi Entertainment's broadcast of the 2022 Saturday Board the Boys charity event benefiting the Movember Foundation. And we're really happy you could be joining us here this evening here on Maconi Entertainment, where we're proud to announce that so far from your donations, we've raised over $1,125 here for the Movember Foundation. Obviously, our race here tonight also brought to you by Admin Box. They're going to be taking care of all of our race control features tonight, but really the important reason why we're here is, like I mentioned, it benefiting the Movember Foundation. Will, and it's going to be a great race here this evening, and myself, Ian Fisher, Will Tiller in the booth, and then also Ryan Bauer running the controls. But really, racing is important here. Obviously, that's what everybody's coming to watch, but I'm really excited about the charity aspect, Will, and I can't wait to get started here tonight. I don't know about you.
No, it's going to be a blast, Ian. I cannot wait to get this action started. As you can see, I'm trying to grow out my little mustache here for Movember here. It's not really growing in, really just grows in on the bottom. But what an awesome charity, what an awesome event. Trucks at Daytona. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I'm excited for the action here tonight.
Yeah, and as you know already, it's the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We don't need much introduction for anybody here at home, but if you haven't watched a race here before, or you just want a little refresher, obviously this track is located in Daytona Beach, Florida, in the United States. Opened in 1959, 31 degrees of banking in the corners and 2.5 miles here. One of the premier racing venues, not only for NASCAR, but for IMSA. IndyCar really hasn't come here yet. They sort of have, but they sort of haven't. But we're going to have 100 laps here, 250 miles. So that's going to be your race distance here this evening. But we kind of mentioned there's a little bit of a difference here between Daytona and Talladega, Will. You look at your race analysis here. Obviously, we're in the NASCAR trucks, 100 laps, 250 miles, 3 green-white checkered attempts. That's actually something kind of interesting. And if I were a betting man, I think we'd be using at least one of those. One fast repair here, so these drivers do have a little bit of room for error. And then, as always, a fixed setup provided by Maconi Setup Shop as well, Will. And I know I took a lot there, but what else can you tell us about this Daytona track, what we can look forward to with this style of racing here this evening?
Yeah, trucks really at Daytona. The things that you really have to watch out for is a lot of passes on that backstretch. You're going to see a lot of 2x2 racing. What I mean by that is you're going to see a lot of trucks up one another's back bumper there. They're going to be pushing a lot on that backstretch. When they get onto those corners, you might see the 3 wide situations later on in the race. But I think to start out this race here tonight, it's going to be very calm in the corners with a lot of passing and a lot of teamwork down the backstretch.
Absolutely, and I think that's one thing to really keep in mind, and a good point that you touched on there, Will, is the difference between this and say, Talladega. A lot narrower race surface here at Daytona. Obviously, we're looking down the backstretch here, and it seems like miles wide. You have all the racing room in the world, but especially at 185, 190 miles an hour that these trucks are going to be getting up to tonight, that racetrack isn't very wide, and as you kind of mentioned it, we won't be seeing a lot of 3-wide action, at least I think, towards the latter half of this race here. Right now, you can see that we're still got about a minute and a half here left in qualifying, make that about a minute and 15 seconds. And right now at the top of your timing tower, it looks like that's Brad Neer in the 76 with a 51.858, but you can just see how close the times are here. The difference between first and 20th right now, Will, is 0.2 of a second.
Oh, it's going to be wild here tonight. It's going to be very close, very compact, very anxiety-ridden. Yes, this is a charity event. Yes, these guys are racing for a great cause. But I think, Ian, just like me and you, once you get inside the simulator, once you get inside your car, you want to win the race no matter what you're racing for.
Oh yeah, and these guys are all competitive as well, and we do have some names in here tonight. We got Justin Melillo hanging out in the 53 machine. Obviously you have Maconi Entertainment's own Jeffrey Maconi. Looking down here, a few other names we've got in the field that kind of stand out to me. Keenan Kuzin, Donald Fisher. So he stole my name. I'll get a shout out to him as well. I believe we're only taking the top 34 drivers here once we actually finish qualifying. Oh, excuse me. There's 42 trucks now qualifying for 36 spots, excuse me, Will. So still a few drivers here looking to get in on time. The last driver that we get on time right now actually is Donald Fisher, and he is looking to hang in here right now. So not quite a done deal with all these drivers looking to make this race. We are going to send a few drivers here home tonight. So
no, it actually brings me back to the old school days of having pole night, Ian. I don't know if you remember those days where drivers actually had to qualify for races, unlike today where you have a charter for the race and you just go out there and lay your best time, you make the race. This throws me back a few years.
Yeah, it sure does as well. And I want to take a time here. If you're watching along at home, that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that will take you to the donation page for your Movember donations. Remember, every single penny of those donations will go directly to the Movember Foundation. We don't take anything over here at Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Setup Shop, and there isn't any processing fees. It's directly to the charity as well. So if you scan that QR code on your screen, or I believe, honestly, if you just Google Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, Movember, it'll take you to the page that you can make a donation for as well. So like I said, over $1,100 we've raised so far here tonight, and we're looking to raise more money as the night goes through. I'm hearing rumors here that we may have a little bit of a 3-lap heat here for funsies for the drivers that didn't make the field, Will. So it's going to be a 3-lap heat here. No transfers, so none of these drivers will be racing with us here tonight in our feature event, but at least let them get out on the track here and mix it up a little bit. 3 laps should be a little bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Like a green-white checkered here at the very end for some of these drivers here tonight. And we want to thank these drivers for their opportunity of trying to make this race here tonight. We want to thank them for taking the chance with us and also donating for this wonderful cause that we're doing here tonight. Although these drivers won't be in our main event here, they still paid the entry fee. They're still going to be donating to this excellent cause here tonight. And if you'd like to donate, go ahead and check out that QR code on the right-hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and donate whatever you can here tonight, Ian. But this is our starting grid for our, let's say, our LCQ or our funsies race here tonight.
Our appetizer, if you will, this evening on our 2022 Saturday for the Boys Charity event. So you see your starting grid here. Only 6 drivers in this field. Perry Vance, Michael Peters, Tim Tripler, Dwayne MacArthur, Stanley Jr., and then David Doran will round out your 6-car field here. So they will start to roll off of pit road, and this should be a lot of fun, honestly. This is going to be a good start to our evening here. Like I said, a little bit of an appetizer for you, if you will, as we get started here. No pun intended with the will. But what can we expect here? I mean, this is going to be interesting. You're going to have to get up front early, and then if you're not quite there, what are you really going to do as we take a look at our weather conditions here? Just a beautiful night for racing here for the virtual Daytona International Speedway. 68 degrees in the temperature in the air, and then the track temperature 70 degrees. So a lot of grip in this racetrack here tonight. Usually not a worry here on the new configuration, Will. But as we head down the backstretch, you kind of mentioned it already. This is where you'll see a lot of the passing. It's really easy to get a run coming through turns 1 and 2, especially if you can kind of give yourself a little bit of space to get sucked up to the truck up there in front of you. You can make a lot of things happen there. But while we're waiting for the trucks to come back around, Will, what do you expect here in this little 5-car shootout we have?
I expect chaos to start off the bat here tonight. I think these drivers know that they won't be racing in the main event, but they still want to show out here tonight. They want to still show their driver skill in this funsies race, this appetizer race, if you will, coming off of 3 and 4 right now. We're going to get this thing on and popping here in just a moment. But we'll see which driver wants to leave here with a little bit of a victory, a moral victory, if you will. Still a great cause we're racing for here tonight.
Perry Vance in the 11, Michael Peters in the 6 here will lead your field to our first green flag here of the evening. You'll see the pace car there make the sharp left turn onto Pace Road there, and then the field will also be in control of Perry Vance. He's going to be our pole sitter this evening here for our first heat race. We're happy that you're joining us here on the 2022 Saturday for the Boys Charity event, and we're green flag racing from the Daytona International Speedway. These trucks are going to be trying to jostle for any kind of position that you possibly can. I mean, track position is going to be a premium here. I think you got 2 lines forming up right away as they go side by side into turn number 1, Will. I mean, it's going to be a shootout. We're going to see here. I'm excited to see what moves are going to be made early in this one.
Yeah, the top side's inching along just a little bit. Low side still keeping up with them as they come off of 2 down this backstretch. Right now you have the 6 truck of Peters up there. Vance on the inside right there in the 11. Looks like Peters going to take us down to corner number 3.
Yeah, Peters taking into corner number 3, but Dwayne MacArthur, they're doing a really good job so far of pushing the 6 car as we head through turns 3 and 4 right now. You'll see that bottom side get a little bit of an advantage as they head through the corner, and I think you're going to see that all night long there. A big wiggle out of the 6 indeed, Will, trying to get down there in side draft, but I think that 11 came up a little bit farther than he was expecting right now, and we'll see this kind of throughout the race as we go on board here with David Rowan. He's just kind of biding his time, looking to see what the rest of these guys are going to do here as we have the Well, I'm not going to say that, but we've got the the MacArthur sheet there in front of him here. And right now, Doran's just trying to find a line to go in, chooses the inside line here. I'll finally get to my point that I've been trying to make for about a lap and a half here. You'll see that inside line get the advantage, Will, once they head into the corners. But that outside line, look at the advantage they have coming down the backstretch.
Yeah, coming off of 2, there's definitely more advantage on the top side lane because I think it's based off of the
40's going around.
sideways. Ooh, man, he goes for a spin there on the apex of 3 and 4.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there. That's going to be the 40 machine of David Doran. I don't believe that'll bring out our caution flag here. So we're going to be coming to the white flag here for our heat race in the 2022 Saturday for the Boys charity event here. And again, it's a 4-car lead here. And Perry Vance has been holding on to that spot so far, but he's under pressure from his teammate there, Michael Peters, in the 6. They're riding along together right now. Peters has the lead right now. The 83 machine on the outside. They're trying to make the run work here, coming off of 2. Doesn't quite have enough yet here. He's going to have to make it work off 3 and 4 if it's going to work for him, Will.
Yeah, there goes MacArthur there on the outside, still leading the way down the backstretch. He has Peters on the 6 truck on the inside, heading into 3 right now. MacArthur with a big move to block Peters down on the apex of 3 and 4, and he's going to be our leader coming off of 4.
Yeah, MacArthur with a big move there to block on Peters. You saw Peters try to move to the outside, but Stanley Jr. was still there. Oh, he turns him there at the very last second. That's going to give the win to Michael Peters here in the heat race. Just tragic for Dwayne MacArthur. He did everything he possibly could there. I will say, you might need to let him look at that one there, but I think maybe a little bit of a late block from MacArthur there. I don't think the 6 was totally trying to turn him there, but we'll see what happened here if we can in a second.
What a great appetizer. I think I would put that up with like boneless wings from Applebee's or something. I mean, that was fantastic right there of a sampler race there here tonight. Oh, hard impact from MacArthur there.
Yeah, you got both walls there. That's pretty impressive right now. Obviously, things that happen to anybody on the iRacing service, but that would be a big hit here in real life. So we'll take a look at your race results from our little first race we had here. Michael Peters hangs on for the win. Perry Vance in second. Stanley Jr. in third. Dwayne MacArthur looked like he had it in the bag, but will wreck out, finish 1 lap down. David Rowan as well. And then Tim Tripler never even came to the starting grid, so he'll finish 4 laps down. So that's going to do it for our little teaser heat race event here of the evening. And at this point right now, we just get ready here for our 250 mile 100 lap feature race. And again, what can we expect here now, Will? This is where things start to get a little bit serious. Obviously, you're not going to be seeing as many moves as we saw in this heat race here. You're going to have to be deliberate. What can we expect to see throughout this first 10 to 15 laps?
I think in the first 10 to 15 laps here, you're going to see the drivers really try to get comfortable in the track. They're going to find the guys that they can work with. They're going to start feeling those drafts. You're going to get up to speed here in those first 10 to 15 laps. Also, Ian, you got to really start to calculate your strategies because right now, even though we have unlimited tires, 1 fast repair in this race, you still need to figure out when you're going to head down pit road, even with only 100 laps here. So a lot of things you're going to have to calculate here in these 10 to 15 laps because before you know it, you're going to hit that 25, you're going to hit that 50, then you're going to hit 75. And with 25 to go, you better have all your gooses together there to get that championship win here at the end.
Well, not only that, but you're going to have to survive all the way until those last 25 laps as well. I think that's something we see here at Daytona. I do believe these drivers will try to keep it green flag racing here for the most part. We'll get started on your starting grid here in just a second. Car is still getting gridded up on pit road here, so we'll get a second here for everybody to go ahead and get ready for this race. 100 laps, 250 miles, 3 green, white checkers, and 1 fast repair. So you do have the... I will say, I wouldn't say you have the luxury of taking risks, Will, but you do have the advantage of if something doesn't work out your way, you can go down and get your fast repair. And as you see the truck starting to roll off there in the background, we'll go into your starting grid right now. Brad Neer, your pole sitter in the 76 Chevrolet, will be on the pole with Andrew Baker to his outside in that first row. Row number 2, we'll see Dustin Logsdon, and on the outside, Justin Lillo in the 53 Ford. David Collier in the 20 machine will roll off 5th with Brian Boyd next to him in the 6th position in the 78. Timothy Stubblefield in the 79 and will be in 7th with Chuck McDonald to his outside in 8th. Joey Mazowicz in 9th, and Jeffrey Maconi will be in 10th. Logan Huckba in 11th, and then Jonathan Green will round out your top 12 here, Will.
Yeah, 13th is going to be Dustin Vedhausen right there. Fun last name right there, Ian. 14th position is going to be David Dunwoody right there in the 28 machine. 15th is going to be Carson Lucas there in the 88. 16th is going to be Bob Burlew in that 66. 17th is going to be Jeremy Stanley in that 60. 18th is going to be Mike Davenport right there in that 26 machine. 19th is going to be Sean Rogers in that 33. And 20th is going to be Jermaine Vines in that 34.
21st to be Randy Peer in a Chevrolet in the 30. 22nd to be Chris Phillips in the 87th. He's also in a Chevy. Chevy's all the way down here with 23rd Andrew Bissonette in the 69 truck. Nice. Mackenzie Corrence in the 42. Paul Vogelsberg in the 21 car will roll off 25th. Eric Sellers in the 97 will be 26th. Keenan Kuzin, Mr. Aero HD on Twitch, 27th. Luke Desjardins into the 16th will be in 28th. And then back from here, Jim Donman, the 17th, and we're ready actually here to go green flag racing from Daytona. Apologize to the rest of those drivers that we didn't get for the grid, but we're green flag racing here for the 2022 Saturday for the Boys charity event here at Daytona.
Right now, as our leader takes us down to the first corner, that inside lane has a lot of pace right now coming around the apex of 1 and 2. Very clean on the inside lane so far, Ian. This is exactly what we thought we were going to see to start off this race.
Yeah, trucks just getting up to speed now. You see a few drivers dive down to the inside here. You'll see that early in this race. A few drivers just wanting to drop to the back of this pack here, see how things work out in front of them, maybe trying to avoid the proverbial big one we have here. That's going to allow Justin Melillo in the 53 on the outside there to take a momentarily lead. He's gotten that outside line working now. You can kind of see it side by side for about 10 rows deep. I will say that inside line is a little bit formed up better right now, and that's been the advantage so far. But that outside line, it's getting some legs. Lap number 2 here still sees Justin Melillo leading this race here with the 76 of Near behind him. Back there, Boyd in the 78 is looking at the pusher right now. Another truck will dive to the inside. Don't think they want a little bit of everything that's going on so far early in this race, but Justin Melillo in the 53 continues to lead here. Now you'll see the 78 to the Boyd drive to the outside here in that Maconi Setup Shop sponsored truck. There, the 52 will join with him as well in that Breezy Racewear machine. So far, these drivers just looking for the side-by-side action here, just trying to get into their draft lines, trying to drive a draft partner early in this race, Will, and see who your friends are going to be later on.
Yeah, a lot of movement, though, on the outside. I'd say the middle of this pack right there. Starting to see some drivers get a little uncomfortable right there. Starting to really start to feel that draft now coming off the trucks in front of them. And also, what you're starting to do there, Ian, you're starting to cut those lines just a little bit, too. You don't want to be too much behind the guy in front of you, because it's going to ride just a little bit. You're going to make yourself uncomfortable as we're almost 3 wide down the backstretch right here. That whole theory of everybody taking it easy in a calm, curious race to start out this race is not what we're seeing so far right now. Is a lot of movement. Oh man, another big move from the 53 down to 3.
Well, Melillo here just trying to cover off both lines right now, and he had a big run there on the 78 of Boyd last time around, and I think just didn't really have anywhere to go. He wasn't in a position where he really wanted to check up right now, and it seems that the 53 wants to be at the front of either one of these lines right now. He doesn't necessarily care which one. You saw him move from the top side down to the bottom side that last time. Continues to lead this bottom train here that's about 5 or 6 car lengths ahead of the second place driver there in the outside line. You can see the gap that's going right now. You can see some of these drivers moving to the inside line. Lots of gamesmanship early here so far, but everybody just trying to settle in. You mentioned it, a few interesting moves already, Will, but now getting to a little bit of an ebb and flow here.
Yeah, it looks like the top 4, top 5 drivers have now separated themselves there as the inside lane is starting to gap themselves on the top side. We're not even seeing the top side lane in the picture right now as they're coming around 3 and 4 right now. So our top 5 is a single line on the inside lane, heading down the front stretch right now. And it's still, as you see that middle pack right there, Ian, it's a lot of movement, a lot of drivers trying to figure out which lanes to ride with, as you're starting to see that top side lane starting to dissipate just a little bit as we head down to 1.
Well, you kind of mentioned it too, with all the indecisiveness that's happening through these drivers from about 10th on back. It's really just having a detrimental effect here to that outside line. You see that they can't really get any kind of momentum going here. You saw Boyd there trying to move up in the 78 machine, kind of trying to block off that outside line. I don't really think you have to do that this early in the race, but track position is going to be important here. If you're one of these drivers, there's usually two camps to avoiding the big one at a super speedway. It's either you're up front early or you get back to the back of the pack early. And right now, seems the difference in two strategies you can see here with Melillo reading the front of this pack here. Now Boyd moving to the outside line, and everybody that's dropped back so far still just trying to figure out where everybody's at, about side by side here, back through about the first 15 positions. Well,
yeah, it looks like it's just really tense up here at the top of this pack right up here. You're trying to figure out which line you want to ride, as we're starting to see some drivers starting to move back and forth, as Boyd made a huge move from the behind of the 53 to the top side lane. Now that top side lane has a lot of momentum right there, but it looks like McDonald doesn't want to be in second too long, as he's now pushing the 78 along right there, and they're going to slide to the inside down into 3.
yeah, they'll take the positions away there from Melillo. Now he'll be third in that inside line, where he was leading it so far. And I will give a shout out there to the 04 McDonald. He found himself on the outside, kind of hung out to drive, managed to get himself back in there in that inside line. Now has worked his way all the way up to second here. And this type of racing, the super speedway racing, doesn't matter what car you're in, it's really mentally taxing. It's not necessarily difficult. It's a relatively easy track to drive, Will, but the mental fortitude you need here to go through 100 laps and even 200 laps, as some of the drivers in NASCAR do, really you're just white knuckling the entire time, because you just have to be so aware of everything that's happening around you on the racetrack at all times.
Yeah, talk about white knuckling. We have a new leader on the racetrack right there is Green, and that 37 has now worked his way up to the top side lane, has overtaken Boyd in that 78, but it looks like we're going to have a drag race down into 3 right now. But going back to what you were saying there, Ian, yes, this track can be very, very mentally taxing. Even though we're 7 laps in here, I know a lot of these drivers here have their heart rates up. They're sweating a little bit on the steering wheels already. They're starting to feel the pressure already, especially some of these guys there in the middle pack, little lower end of the field right now, as we're going to take an onboard ride here. And I love that point of view, as we're going to get a driver view there, Ian. You can see exactly the focus right there. You see the head scratch. So you see exactly what these drivers are already going through 8 laps into this race.
Yeah, and a little bit of a moment there from the truck in front of him. That's the 69 machine there. He had a little bit of a bobble there, touched the apron just a little bit there. Sean Rogers here, able to just move up to the outside line here and try to take that position away from the Maconi setup sponsored 69 there on the inside. And you saw it there, just the little minute adjustments that you're constantly making around this racetrack, not only with the wheel, but when you're back here in the pack there trying to navigate this draft pack, you're doing a lot of inputs with the throttle, a lot of inputs with the brake, as well as you see a few drivers there get a little bit squirrely off of 4. It wasn't as bad as it seemed to be. I don't think anybody in our race control at their admin boxes had to throw a yellow flag for that one, but a little bit hairy coming off of 4 there. And these drivers doing a great job through these first 10 laps, or now you see the side-by-side racing goes for about the first 20 positions here, just kind of settling in, riding around right now. You're not going to win this race on lap 10, but you can surely lose it on lap 10.
No, and one thing I wanted to touch on as well there, Ian, as we're heading down the backstretch right now, as Boyd and Green are essentially side by side there on the entry of 3. Another thing that, if folks at home, if you've never been on the simulator, if you've never been racing before in real life, one thing that's very taxing to these drivers as well, talking about that mental fortitude you have to race at Daytona here, is that draft. Now, the draft is going to pull you along. It's going to pull you side by side. It's going to pull you forward. It's also going to separate you. So the 37 separating there from the top side lane. Another thing, Ian, that draft is going to give you a big run. It's what we call here on broadcasting runs. So you'll see cars get huge runs here when you're behind somebody there. And you have to know when to go with the run, per se, and when to check up there, Ian, because sometimes you have that run and there's a couple trucks in front of you and you can't check up. You have to try to swerve out of the way, and you only have about a split second to make that decision.
No, that's a fantastic point as well. It kind of brings up that accordion effect that you'll see happen here and almost happen in Melillo early in this race when he made that move to the outside. A little bit of a risky move for him there, but the car in front of him, he just had a run on him. And you're kind of in a no man's land there. If you do check up, you run the risk of the truck in front of you riding up your back bumper and then spinning you as well. So sometimes when you have that big of a run, you want to check up, you want to stay in line, but that leaves you vulnerable to the truck behind you as well, as we continue to see these two lines just snake through this Daytona International Speedway to take a look back on board here with Jeff Maconi. One of those drivers that decided to just go ahead and get to the back and ride this race out. You see he's got his VR set up there. Also with the pet fountain. Always like trying to... Let's see what else actually... the racing's going on, Will, but we can have a little bit of fun with this here. He's also got a flight sim set up. You can see that there as well with the throttle controls that he has. So he's doing some flight simming as well, in addition to his race simming there. He does have the racing jersey on as well. I'm kind of curious if he has a flight sim jersey, Will.
I mean, I'm extremely jealous of this setup. I literally have a wheel that I bracket to my desk and little pedals there. I don't have the virtual reality headset. The big he's got seatbelts on too, Ian. He's
a wreck at the front of the pack here. A big wreck. Sorry to cut you off, Will, but you can see now from the onboard of Maconi. I noticed it first because he checked up hard on the brake pedal. I was wondering what's happening in front of him. He'll move to the outside here. Looks like he's going to get through that cleanly. That involved a lot of trucks, though, up to the front of the pack.
Yeah, that was a big one that you mentioned here early on in this broadcast here. It was almost predictable as we're starting to see that cauldron start to bubble just a little bit. A lot of drivers were getting tense. A lot of drivers were bobbing and weaving in that middle pack. We'll have to check out this replay here to see what exactly happened to bring out our first caution of the night here on lap 12.
We'll see here, and that you saw it happen towards the front of the pack here. I'm not entirely sure what the impetus of the entire incident was. We'll see here. It was coming off of turn number 4, heading into the trial section here. So we'll see what happens. Everybody kind of jostling for position here. Nothing too out of the ordinary so far. We'll see as they come through 3 and 4 here. It's got to be when they get back to the front stretches when things really start to unfold. And right now you can see the 97 up high there, making it 3 wide. He does happen to get back in line, though, so we'll see. It starts to happen around this area here. And you see 3 wide towards the front of the pack there. And then, yep, okay. Yeah, the 97 was involved there. You did see him touch one bumper. You see another truck going around there as well. It looks like that's the 72. And I see a few trucks with heavy damage. Remember, they do have that fast repair, and that's exactly what happened right there. We talked about how 3 wide can be treacherous here. It can be done, but not for very long, Will, and you can see what happened there.
Yeah, no, it's what I like to say is the danger zone lane. If a truck gets mixed into that danger zone lane right in the middle of a 3 wide situation, I just touched on it just a little while ago what the draft can do. The draft can pull you side to side. In that situation, once you feel your truck start to wiggle just a little bit, you're going to try to overcorrect. You're going to try to get on the wheel, try to overcorrect that draft just a little bit. But once you start to get a little loose, Ian, there's really nowhere you can go. You have a truck to your right and a truck to your left, and once you make contact with either one of them, the dominoes are going to start to fall.
Oh, not only that, Will, another thing that kind of looks like to me was a cause of that incident, as we mentioned, those trucks going 3 wide. As we are starting to see a little bit of pit stops here, I think only fuel right now for most of these drivers, maybe a fast repair, if they so desire to take one right now. Pretty early in this race, we're only on lap going to be 15 here when we come back to the stripe. But another thing that I kind of noticed there, Will, is that when you get in these 3 wide situations, your field of view as a driver gets just dramatically reduced, and I think that's what we saw a little bit there as well. Maybe drivers just not knowing exactly where they're at on the racetrack and causing incidents as well. While we do have a time here during our first caution, I want to remind you, of course, we're getting donations all night long for the Movember Foundation. That QR code on the bottom right hand corner of your screen can be scanned, and that's where you can go. We've donated over let me check now, over $1,200 to the Movember Foundation has been donated so far, and that's all from drivers and fans like you watching along at home at Maconi Entertainment. So we really do appreciate you donating to a great cause we have here this evening. We'll take a look at your top 5 right now. Boyd, McDonald, Burlew, Malillo, and Corrins, very similar to some of the drivers that we've already seen before. Trying to go through here and see some of the drivers that were involved in that incident. That will shake up the field a little bit, but these drivers still have the fast repair to deal with.
Yeah, but I think as we were mentioning there, Ian, for the start of this race, that was in that 10 to 15 lap range that we were talking about here. For a lot of these drivers now, that's it. You don't have any more fast repair. So we'll see if some of these drivers get a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more cautious here as this race goes on, or are these drivers going to know, okay, my fast repair is out the window, I'm just going to stick to my strategy and I got to keep that pedal to the floor.
Yeah, lap 15 here now as the field crosses the stripe this time by. Boyd will inherit your lead after winning the race off of pit road. So now McDonald, Melillo, Corrins, Taylor, Green, Baker, Bissonette, Burlew, and Keenan Kuzin are going to be inside your top 10 now. Burlew and Kuzin just swap positions there. And a good run for Keenan Kuzin so far in that 27 machine. Worked his way up from about mid-pack, now finds himself in around 9th position. I'm sure he's also out there streaming this race as well. If you want his position, or I'm sorry, his point of view of the race, go ahead and check him out, Mr. Arrow HD. You can open up a new tab right there. There he is, the Canadian in the Next Level Racing Toyota machine right there. I will give Arrow some props here. I don't know if you know, Will, he's a little bit more of a known for his drifting prowess here in the sim racing world. Doing a really good job here out on the oval there with 15 laps in, though.
Ian, I tried an arcade game last weekend called Initial D, and I've never played a Japanese-style racing game before, and all props go to those guys that do drifting games, go to the Japanese racing games. I tried to shift gears, I tried to get sideways in those things, and the other guys had racing cards, so I can only imagine how hard it is to drift here in the simulator.
Oh, well, over on Assetto Corsa as well is usually where they do most of those drift events. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe it's ESDA, though, is what they organize over there. So coming over here, giving his oval chops a try and doing a great job so far. Another driver that kind of stands out to me there as well is Fisher down there in the 19th position. Obviously, we share the same name, so a little bit of bias there. He did spell it wrong, I will say that. But I don't know if you remember, Will, he started all the way at the back of our field here to start this race. Now finds himself up there in the top 15. I do think, yes, they waved off the start this time. It was going to be green this time. We'll see if those lights go off on the pace car. It is 1 to green this time, so we'll go back to green flag racing this time around. We got about a 15 lap stint under our belt there, kind of what we expected so far, Will, but now that we get that first big one out of the way, do you think that's going to change any of these drivers' mindsets so far, or do you think it's just going to be business as usual?
I think, honestly, you're going to start to see some of the drivers a little bit of a different mindset, a little bit more cool, level-headed racing here from some of these guys. Now, the rest of these guys, as you just mentioned a great point there, Ian, you're starting to see some more drivers start to raise up from the back of the pack, from the middle of the pack. That's another key thing to watch out for here as this race ticks on. A lot of these guys that we're not going to call out here for the first 25, 50 laps here, they're going to be the names that we call out for the last 50, the last 25 here tonight, because they're going to be so cool and calculated throughout this race. They're going to wait until those last 25, 50 laps to really get into the mix, to get their names called. So keep an eye on that as well.
And I'm looking down our timing and scoring tower right now. I don't believe that this is correct, but the last car it's currently showing me on the lead lap is Andrew Smith, who's in the 18th position right now. I do not believe that a majority of those drivers that were involved in that incident lost too many laps now. I'm showing a few drivers 2 laps down, 3 laps down, even one driver 4 laps down. That's Kevin Carlisle in the 72, so maybe an early retirement here from the race this evening. But if the timing and scoring is telling me correctly, we have 18 trucks here still on the lead lap, so that did, I wouldn't say thin out the field here. We still might have some cautions there as the pace car dives on the pit road. We'll go back to green flag racing this time. Brian Boyd in control of your field here as we go back to green flag racing at Daytona. So we'll see if anybody else gets back on the lead lap here once they go by now. No, that just puts Eric Sellers and Bob Bruford now a lap down here. So yes, 19 trucks on the lead lap. We go back to green flag racing here at Daytona, Will.
Yeah, as Boyd's going to take us to round 2 right now in that 78 truck. He's done a great job of holding his position inside the top 3 here tonight as we see that top side lane now start to form up just a little bit with a big push from McDonald in that 04 down to 3.
And what we saw that last time around, too, when we went green flag racing, was it did take a few laps for that outside line to really kind of establish themselves. I will say I think they're doing a little bit of a better job this time. You see Melillo there in the 53 leading that outside line. They got about 6 trucks with them so far. And back from that, you kind of see these first 5, 6, 7 rows usually get formed up, Will. And then back from there, it's kind of a more of a sporadic packed aspect. A lot of these drivers with maybe differing strategies. And now even back there farther, you're seeing a second pack form.
Yeah, starting to see some of these drivers start to find those holes, start to see where they want to go. As right now, Boyd in that 78 is going to take us off corner number 2 down that backstretch. Here comes McDonald in that 04. We're going to go 3 wide down the backstretch, down into the entry at 3. We're 3 wide racing into corner number 3.
Yeah, 3 wide. I don't think this is going to necessarily work this time by this early, but we'll see what happens there. A big wiggle out of the 4 with 3 on his outside there. That's going to allow Phil Milillo in the 53 to move to the outside of Boyd here. He's going to try to take a run coming off of 4 here. He doesn't have quite enough of an advantage right now, probably because of the car is running 3 wide beside him here as we come by. This is going to be lap number 19 of 100, almost 20 laps into this race, so a fifth of the way down. Starting to see a few moves early here. That kind of settled itself out a little bit. Well, that was exciting, though, to say the least.
Oh, it really was there. Already we're seeing 3 wide racing here on lap 19. As Boyd in that 78 is going to take us off corner number 2, but a big run out of the 53 on the outside with another big push from the 04 of McDonald. But watch out for McDonald in that 04. We saw this move just a lap ago. He wants to try to get up into the lead as the 53 Emilio is going to take the lead.
Malillo moved to the inside here. You see Boyd trying to get the spot right back. The 78 really wants to be in the lead of this race now. We'll see if he moves in front of the 04 of McDonald. He will this time by as we come to lap number 20 here. Malillo able to move down to the inside there in that 53 traction GG machine, trying to get up here, lead this race as much as he can. It looks like that's been his strategy so far tonight, Will, is try to be in front of this pack, let everything else happen behind you, doing a good job of that so far. Another driver who's really done a good job of that. That's 78 of Boyd there on the outside, now getting help from McDonald. He's got Taylor there with him on the outside line as well, and this outside line has done a great job, expecting to get a run here down the backstretch this time again.
Yeah, but you see Boyd in that 78 truck with a mastermind of a plan. So we're going to watch him here on the entry of 3. And then on the exit of 4, watch out for this Ian. As you see, he's going to break that draft to the 04 and then slide right back in there. And you see, he's going to break it right here on the apex of 3 and 4. And he comes off the corner. He's going to slide that truck right in front of the 04, which inadvertently makes the 04 push him down the front stretch.
Yeah, and that's really been the advantage so far. Is it's not even the driver leading the race, Will, or leading their specific line. It's the driver behind him that's been doing the pushing that's really been the importance here. As you see another swap in that bottom line now, Boyd will take that lead of the bottom line away from Malillo, and it looks like at least this time around, Malillo is kind of looking to stay back in there and kind of hang out. And as I say that, look at that, makes the move to the outside, now takes McDonald as his drafting partner. That was a little bit hairy, Will, but I do think these guys are at least somewhat aware of what they're doing up here at the beginning of the pack.
Oh, they really do, because even though as aggressive and as crazy that looked at on the broadcast here, these drivers are calm and calculated. They've been swapping positions up here all night long as the 78's going to squeeze the 53 up there, not going to overtake that topside lane. Oh, there's a little bit of a wiggle there, Ian, as we head down to 1.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of a wiggle indeed. And really, this is lap 22 of this race. I don't know why these guys are being this aggressive. I mean, we do love seeing this type of racing here, and nobody's being overly aggressive. It's just, we kind of mentioned it earlier in our broadcast when we were talking at the top of the race, is that these are the moves that you see probably with like 20 laps to go, not necessarily on lap 20.
No, definitely not. As you see, oh my goodness gracious, Brian Boyd is blocking both lanes down the backstretch as he's now down in the inside lane. Once again, our race leader in that 78 truck has bounced from topside, low side throughout these laps, and he's still the race leader, and that's how you hold the lead there, Ian. And that 78 truck is going to be our leader across the line here on lap 23.
Well, and we'll continue to see this lead ebb and flow and go back and forth between that top side and that high side. We've seen it come down to so many times here in real life and on the sim, just what line is going to have more momentum as they come back to the stripe. And you can see it right now, kind of trading blows. Right now, that top side is not getting as much momentum as they possibly can. You see the 53 Malillo down there on the 42, all the way on his door, trying to get the side draft. And look, it's going to work for him here. He's going to have the run on the 78, avoid as the head down in the turns 3 and 4, side by side there with the 78 heading in the turn number 3, and this battle continues.
Yeah, what I think the 04 needs to do, though, is get to the inside lane, because you're going to watch the 78 here on the exit of the corner. He's going to pinch that 53 on the top side lane. He's going to move closer right there, use that side draft. Not going to be enough to block him, though, as the 53 is going to lead this lap here, but we're still going to drag race 10 to 1.
Well, in my expert opinion here as well, which is, I will tell you, Will, means absolutely nothing. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just kind of make it sound good. But another thing I'm noticing as well as McDonald there almost gets into the wall heading out of turn 3 here. But another thing that I've noticed is that, or I'm sorry, out of turn 2, that when Melillo goes down the side draft, that's giving him a really good run and kind of keeping that 78 of Boyd back. Here you see it again as they go down the backstretch. But nobody else in that inside line is moving down to try to side draft that inside line. I'm sorry, nobody on the outside line is moving down to side draft the inside line. Excuse me, is what I was trying to say. And right now, I think that's the difference here, and I think that's why we're seeing Boyd able to get out to about a 2 or 3 truck length advantage over that outside line, is that they're not just quite working in unison. We see it a lot in sim racing. That top line, I will say, is a little bit harder to run than the inside line. You don't have the visual reference of the line there to keep you going, but it can work for you if you're able to make it link up.
Yeah, it's definitely working for the 78 truck of Boyd. Still our race leader right now as we come off of corner number 2 down this backstretch right now. Not a lot of movement here in the race so far. Ian, just very, very close racing. A lot of these drivers, as we predicted, are just very calm, very collected here. Kind of taking mental notes, if you will, maybe even taking real notes, getting out a little notebook, scribbling down things they're learning throughout tonight's race. Right now, as we come off of 3, right on to 4 right now on the exit, and you see right there an excellent shot of Sean Rogers right now. You see how calm, you see he did a big run off of 4, and he checked up exactly what we mentioned earlier in this broadcast here. You have to know when to hold position and when to overtake.
Yeah, shout out to Rogers as well. I don't know if you saw that blanket in the background on his couch. I look at weird stuff when we get like looks into people's lives. I kind of like seeing like what they have around their sim and everything like that. But anyways, kind of on a tangent there. He had a Detroit blanket, so you know, as a Michigan boy myself, I do appreciate whenever I see another Michigander at least out in the sim racing wild. But back to the racing action here, lap 26 from the virtual Daytona in the 2022 Saturday for the boys race here, representing the Movember Foundation. Timothy Stubblefield, we're on board with him right now. Lost 9 positions from the start of this race. I think he was one of those drivers that were actually involved in that earlier incident, Will. Looks like there is a slight amount of damage, possibly the right nose of that truck right there. Maybe didn't take his fast repair. Oh, big wiggle there. There's one driver possibly around behind us right now, just into the wall right now. I believe he'll stay green. I don't think any of our race control in their admin boxes there are hitting that yellow flag button. But look at this, back towards the front of the pack here. McDonald there still looking to the outside of Melillo, and I will say, Melillo keeps trying to side draft there, but if he keeps doing that, he might put himself in what did you refer to it, Will? It was the it wasn't the sucker hole. What do you call it?
The danger zone.
Yeah, the danger zone. Yeah, but Melillo's got to be careful there, but because he's going to put himself in the danger zone if he keeps moving that far down in the bottom line. But right now, I guess he decided to take all of those questions out here. He moves all the way down. It goes in front of Boyd there. Now Boyd in the 42 will move to the outside. It looks like they're pretty content with being together. That's Cornish there in the 42 truck as they come back across the stripe here for lap 28 of our 100-lap feature here tonight. That 52 and the 72, or excuse me, the 42 and the 78, they've really been working together here. They're split up here again now as Boyd moves down to the bottom of the block off Melillo. But that 42 and the 78, that's a tandem to watch for later for sure, Will.
Yeah, I was just, oh man, I'm coming off of 2. That's very close there as Melillo just tried a big move off of 2. I was going to say that 42 truck could be one of those sleeper trucks. Really been kind of just easing his way inside the top 5 right now. He's not a sleeper on the track. You cannot miss him there in that lime green paint job here tonight. That 42 truck, as you mentioned, is doing a great job of pushing the 78 along as we come off of 4 right now. You see the 42 is just very calm there in the top side lane, not very aggressive, comfortable right now in this race here across the line here on lap 29.
Well, another shout out to one of these drivers there you kind of mentioned has just been kind of sitting around in the top 5 but not really being up here at the front of these packs is the 69 there of Andrew Bisnet, the Maconi setup shop machine there you see towards the middle of your screen right now, and we right on board with him here. You see that he started 23rd, now he's up to 4th place. That's 19 positions from the start of this race. Now finds himself up in the 3rd position here as this bottom line is going to get a little bit of a run here coming down the backstretch. A really solid run for the driver out of New York so far, Will. And look at that, the 27 and Keenan Kuzin now all the way up to the 4th position.
Yeah, shout out to that homebred sponsor here, Maconi Setup Shop, as we're on Maconi Entertainment here tonight. We want to thank everybody for tuning into this excellent charity race here. Me and Ian has more of a beard. I tried to show off my beard here tonight. want to invite everybody to check out that QR code there on your screen. If you'd like to donate whatever you can here to this great cause that we have here tonight. And Ian, what's the last check of how many donations we've raised so far?
Well, let me pull it up on my phone here right now. I've been watching it kind of as it goes, and let's see here. Last I saw it was around $1,150, close to $1,200. We'll see where we're at right now. Give me just a second. It's actually increased a little bit. It was around $1,125, and now it's up to $1,131. So that's $1,131 that we've raised here tonight so far for the Movember Foundation. So like I said, you'll see a QR code on the bottom right-hand side of your screen here throughout the race. I believe it's actually now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. So you can scan that QR code, or just go to Google, search Maconi Setup Shop Movember. That'll take you to the page where you can make donations. You can make donations of $30, $50, $100, $150, $250. Doesn't matter, whatever donation you want to make, anything you do will go and help the Movember Foundation. And right now, a driver that doesn't need any help, but he's getting it so far, from the 53 of Justin Malillo, is your new leader. This is Mr. Aero HD. That's Keenan Kuzin, my good friend, to not get too personal with it, leading this race so far. That's really awesome to see, Will. A little bit of touch of the apron there. You can't be doing that, Keenan, but good job so far. That 27 finds himself now at the front of this race. Lap 32 now as they cross the stripe, and Keenan Kuzin continues to lead here, getting the push from Justin Malillo, his, I guess you could say, former Traction GG teammate. Aero, of course, working there alongside Traction GG for a long time on their stream team, now going and doing his own thing again. In control of this race, you see lap traffic there becoming a bit of a factor. We've got a wreck off of turn 2. 26 truck is involved, a few others as well. We'll see what that's going to do here. Yeah, let's see how that shakes up the field. The 26 machine, I'm trying to get a beat on it right now for you. That's going to be... Give me just a second here. I hate when this happens. We'll find out in just a second for you here. But he wasn't the only truck that was involved, as we see another truck there in the background just kind of swerving around. He saw him slap the wall there. Not sure who that was as well, Will.
No, and I think for some of these drivers here, Ian, we'll have to check with the garage, but I think for some of these drivers, that might be their night. I think they might be out of fast repairs, judging on who was involved in this. Man, it looks like we'll have to rewind that just a little bit there, Ian, but it looks like the danger zone just claimed another victim there, as it looked like we tried to go 3 wide, and a driver in the middle lane got loose there.
Yeah, and it looks like one of the drivers involved was the 88. That is going to be Carson Lucas. He's one involved, and you see he's the one flipping over as well. The 04 there you see was also involved. That's really unfortunate there for him, because you saw he was so far up in our pack, doing a really good job. Chuck McDonald, not where he wanted to be, obviously, at this point of the race, and a lot of other drivers as well. You kind of mentioned it. We're starting to get into the position where we're using fast repairs. So lap 33, exactly 1/3 through this race, we have our second caution here, and while we do have the yellow flag out, check out that QR code on the top right. Go there, donate to the Movember Foundation. Do it now. I'm going to not say anything for a few seconds, so you can go ahead and do it. There's no reason for you not to go to the QR code right now. There's nothing going on in the racetrack. It's a yellow flag right now. I take that back. There are pit stops going on, but donating to the Movember Foundation is much more important than pit stops right now. As you see, our leader, Keenan Kuzin, will go on the pit road there. Jack's going to come up, so it's going to be a tire change here for your leader. I'm kind of interested by that as well. We do have limited tire sets here. The 69 machine also taking tires as well. Looks like one driver just kind of crashed on the pit road there. I don't know if you saw that, though, Will. But looks like actually some tires this time around.
Yeah, and I think this is probably in that window that I kind of speculated. It was hard because some drivers headed down pit road there when we had that first caution. But we're looking at maybe around a 35 lap run on tires here, probably 35 to 40. These drivers are just getting it done early here. So judging by that, Ian, do you feel like some of these drivers have to pit again for more tires before this race is over?
No, I don't think for tires, honestly. I don't necessarily think tires. I think at this point, you see a lot of drivers going down and taking tires. Why not? honestly, here at super speedways, tire wear isn't that much of a factor over the course of 100 laps. I do think there's a little bit of tire fall off that you'll see there. I don't think too significantly here through 34 laps, even though we've had 2 cycles of heat in the tires as well. iRacing doesn't model that as much as you would see in real life here, but I will say something important to keep in mind here is that I think we're starting to creep even closer and closer into our fuel window, which I know we're not quite there yet, but our fuel window is in the realm of, I would say, 45 to 50 laps, depending on how you work that draft there, Will. So even not quite able to get there yet, you want to set yourself up, fill up this race truck as much as you can, maybe get yourself in a situation where you can now save fuel, make that last stop that you make have to be less fuel that you take, maybe get a position on pit road that way. I think we'll see a little bit more of that as we're starting to see some lap down cars pit as well.
Yeah, starting to see a little bit of a shakeup there on that grid as well, Ian. You know, of course, we see that 53 truck, Emilio at the top, Biznet right up there in that 69. We saw that 69 truck really put forth a great effort there, running inside the top 5. Of course, you see Kuzin right there in that 27. Boyd, of course, in that 78 has been running inside the top 3 throughout tonight's race. But then you see the likes of Green, Cornets right there in that 42, Huckba right there as well in that 09. You know, some of these drivers were in the middle of the pack right up there and now worked their way up inside the top 10 based on those pit stops.
Yeah, and really a lot of that has been attrition as well, just drivers staying out of trouble. We've seen 2 big wrecks so far in this race, so if you're able to miss some of those, you find yourself in a really good position as well. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with, you know, drivers like Justin Malillo, drivers like Keenan Kuzin, you know, Bisnet that we see up here towards the front of the race, Cornish in the 42. A lot of these drivers that we've seen up in the top 5, they are really duking it out. They're really being aggressive for the lead of this race. But at the same time, they're avoiding a lot of these big wrecks behind them, and I think that's been crucial to their success so far. We do see the lights out on the pace car, so we'll be back going green flag racing here on lap number 36 of 100. So just over a third of the way done with our action here from our 2022 Saturday for the Boys Movember charity event here. Check out your QR code, excuse me, on the top right hand. On the top right-hand side of your screen, you can go and donate there. Go and do it. And we'll get back to green flag racing here in just a second for everybody. So give you something to do while you're waiting for that web page to load where you're going to make your donation here. Again, over $1,300 at this point that we raised for the Movember Foundation. So we're really happy about that. Justin Malillo will lead the green flag here again. And we're green flag racing here for the virtual Daytona Speedway for the 3rd time. Malillo and Kuzin there are in that little bit of a tandem here on the bottom side. Interested to see how those 2 drivers are going to work together. A lot of familiarity here on the top 2 drivers right now. We'll see if it'll pay off for them at all, Will.
Right now, you're seeing Malillo on that low side lane, that 53 as we come off of 2. So our race leader holding off a lot of speed behind him, though, as we're starting to see a little bit more organization there on the top side lane right now as we head down the backstretch down into 3. Starting to see a little bit more speed, of course, led by Biznet in that 69, and he has a fast truck behind him there in that 78. So I'm curious to see as we come around 3 and 4 if that topside lane can be a little bit more organized here on lap 36.
Well, and again, I go back to it. I know we've made this point a few times on every restart that we've had so far, Will. But it's been the difference of that inside line forms up really quick, but that outside line takes a few laps to get going here. And something that is interesting about that to me is if we get into our green-white checker kind of situation here, where we saw a little bit there in our little teaser race earlier in the evening, if you're on that outside line, when that green-white checker comes out, how quick do you want to move to that inside line? I mean, how quick do you want to start making moves here? Because you see it does take a few laps for that outside line to really get going and up to speed.
And it looks like there is a tandem there on that top side lane, led by Biznet in that 69 and Boyd in that 78. Although it's just the 2 of them here on the apex of 3 and 4, they are still showing they have everything to hold tight with those top cars right up there. One on the inside lane right there, Ian. As you're now starting to see the top side lane starting to form, you have 42 trucks in the mix now as well. Cornets, you see Green in that 37s right there as well. Oh,
they're spinning. Oh, big wreck. Big wreck. That's going to be from about second on back. I believe a few drivers did get through that. Let's see there. It looks like Malillo may have gotten through without any damage. It looks like Kuzin possibly without damage as well. And we saw that the 69 machine there was moving back and forth there, Bisnet, and let's see what happens here. Maybe just a little bit too late of a block, possibly, Will.
No, he's going to try to go to the inside there, Ian, and just, man,
He's just not clear.
No.
Oh, and that got Kuzin as well, too. He tried to move to the outside to avoid it. You see him collected as well. I don't think the 27 has used their fast repair here, but that'll definitely drop him back towards the back of the field. Let's see who else that collected here. It starts happening once they come off of the front stretch here, heading into turns 1 and 2. You'll see that the 69 Abyssnet will move down here, and it's just a classic situation of not clear. This will probably be your best view of it. There he goes down on Malillo. Malillo tries to give him the room, but at the same time, if you're a driver in that situation, you got to hold your line, I think. And oh man, that collected a lot of drivers right now. You see the 69 Abyssnet was involved there. The 03, the 72 just barely making it by. The 54 Misevich, I believe, was able to avoid it as well. I think that was prior damage, but we'll see, especially coming down pit road this time, who elects to take that fast repair here in our third caution of the night, now coming to lap 40 this time.
You see right here, this is an excellent point of view here from the middle of the pack. Oh my goodness gracious, almost avoided that. Oh man, it's a shame to ruin that cool looking paint scheme this driver has on that hood right there. But man, Ian, what a crazy unfolding of events here on lap 39. We've talked about it here tonight. We've seen a lot of give and take, a lot of moving parts there at the top there. For the 69, as you mentioned, Ian, just didn't have enough room to make that pass. We've seen it all night long, going from top side to low side, trying to get that speed from the low side lane. As we all know, around a racing track, around a track at gym, that inside lane's the fastest lane. You want to be in that inside lane. And he tried to go for it there coming into one, but just didn't have enough space to pull that move off.
Yeah, and another thing too is that we've talked about it so many times, is that you can't win this race on lap 40, you can't win this race on a lap 30, 20, 10, but you can lose the race at any of these laps so far. So riding at the top of the world there, if you're Bisnet, then all of a sudden you try to make that move and not quite clear on the bottom side. Maybe the line closed up a little bit faster than he thought he was going to. But now your race is pretty much over. You see all the drivers taking the pit road right now. I think anybody that didn't have damage is fueling that race truck up as much as they can right now. At this point, the rate that the cautions are coming out, Will, I think you set yourself up for where you don't really necessarily have to worry about fuel mileage with how many times you're going to be able to come back and forth to pit road. But if we do have an extended green flag run here, and these drivers do have to pit under green flag at some time, which still is a possibility with our lap count right now, that is going to be important to come down here and get as much fuel in this race truck as you can every single time. Again, you saw that QR code on the top of your screen pop up there. That's where you can go make donations to the Movember Foundation. Over $1,300 raised so far leading up to and this evening, and we're trying to get to $2,000 here before the end of the night. So go there, donate. You have no reason not to do it. There's nothing going on the racetrack right now. Anytime a caution comes out, I am going to guilt trip you into making donations to the Movember Foundation. I hope that you understand that, anybody watching along at home. And I mean it in the kindest of ways, because it goes to a great cause. Men's cancers, mental health, suicide prevention, awareness of men's health, all these things that the Movember Foundation tries to do. Well, but let's be honest here for a second, Will. A majority of the sim racing community is male. We can do a lot to help each other out here and just try to avoid some of these things that, men that have to deal with in their real lives.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a personal, proprietor of that. My grandfather had prostate cancer, and that's something that we need as men to really look out for. That's one of the things that Movember stands out for, as well as mental health. Ian, you just touched on it as well. Not a lot of guys reach out, go for help, talk to somebody. So a lot of beneficial things come from not just not shaving, as there's a lot of dudes like to do out there for Movember. There's actually a cause behind that. There's a lot of different causes for that as well, Ian. So all you folks out there, whatever you can donate. I know Black Friday was yesterday, and maybe some money spent there. Thanksgiving, some money spent there as well. But anything you have left, please donate to a wonderful cause here. It's going to go, as this race here tonight, we're not taking anything for this race. These drivers paid entry fees are going to go straight towards that as well. So what a wonderful cause that we're representing here tonight, Ian.
Yeah, and also as well as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here, I want to touch on the fact as well is that I think it's really cool the Movember Foundation is doing stuff with men's mental health as well. I know a lot of guys out there don't really want to talk about, maybe some of their mental health things that are going on and stuff like that. And if it's any consolation for anybody that may be going through some of that at home as well, it's okay to talk about that. It's okay to, be a man and have feelings and things like that. I'm sure a lot of these drivers out here right now have had feelings that are maybe hurt a little bit by some of the racing action that's going on here, Will. And it looks like we are going to delay the start here. So I think one more lap under green flag conditions, or yellow flag conditions, and you see the lights out on the pace car there. We'll go back to green flag racing this time by now. We've had a few incidents that's kind of shaken the field up a little bit. I'll take a look here at our timing and scoring. It looks like Jeffrey Maconi actually in the 0-3 is going to be scored as the last car on the lead lap right now. If he's still on pit road when the field comes back around, he will now find himself one lap down. But now 15 trucks find themselves on the lead lap, and that also is going to be important to remember that you don't really want to have any damage here going through the rest of the evening, especially with how important the aerodynamic qualities of these race trucks are at a track like Daytona. Will you want to keep that truck clean as much as you can?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the one light that comes out of that crash that we just had inside the top 15, I don't think a lot of those drivers were involved in that early on incidents that we had here tonight, Ian. So a lot of those drivers, yes, you're gonna have to use that fast repair, get tangled up in that, but now you have no more fast repairs. But we're about halfway through this race here tonight, so you can still sort of stick to that strategy of racing hard, racing aggressive, because that whole theory of taking it calm, cool, and collected to start this thing off, that went bye-bye in about lap 20-25. So this racing here tonight has been exciting, has been a pedal to the floor here tonight. Seen a lot of lead changes at the top of the grid, a lot of moving parts, and we've just seen two huge accidents here within, I would say, about 10-15 laps of each other. So now as we creep up to this halfway mark, I think the heat and the volume is going to start to turn up here at Daytona.
Yeah, you mentioned it too. We're 8 laps away from halfway here as we'll go back to green flag racing. Brian Boyd will be in control of the field as Barney the flag man will sit there patiently with the green flag. And now we will be back to green flag racing once again here at the virtual Daytona for the 2022 Saturday for the Boys event benefiting the Movember Foundation. And Brian Boyd will continue to take that lead into turn number 1 here. He does have a little bit of help in the back here from, it looks like, the 88 machine of Carson Lucas after being involved in an earlier incident. Looks like he got a fast repair and back out there again. And then again, the 42 of Mackenzie Corrins out there on the outside of the track. You see right now 42 leading that outside lane. Been a good run from that camp there as well. Looking to do a little bit more here this evening. Has found themselves in the top 5 position all night long and now looking to lead this race.
Yeah, as we're side by side here in the apex of 3 and 4, it's the 42 of Cornets, the 78 of Boyd coming around for right now. Boyd has been inside the top 3 virtually the entire race here tonight, but it's going to be the 42 truck of Cornets that's going to take us across the line here on lap 44 down to corner number 1. We're still side by side for the lead.
The top line has a little bit of advantage here as we head back into turn number 1, but the 78 of Boyd now storms back on the inside with help from the 88 of Lucas and the 33 from Rogers there behind him. That makes up your top 5. Rogers, Malillo, Huckba, and McDonald, your top 10 with Logston there filling out your 10th position. And going back through the pack here, still 17 trucks on the lead lap. Joey Masevich is going to be your first truck 1 lap down now on pit road right now. And then a few notable retirements from this race so far this evening is, let me see here, it looks like Keenan Kuzin in the 27 unfortunately has taken his machine behind the wall, so I think it's going to be night done for them. And then looking up through the list as well, looks like Brad Neer in our who is our pole sitter here this evening is on pit road right now trying to get repairs done to that machine right now. So we did have a little bit of a change for the lead here. Now the number 9 of Taylor's going to be in the lead. The 33 almost moved down there and clipped himself on the nose of the 42. Thought better of it. That's going to allow the inside line to get a little bit of a run here as they come off turn 2.
Yeah, this touches on the point that I mentioned to start this race here tonight, Ian. A lot of those names that we didn't call out for the first half of this race are now going to be the names that we call out for the second half of the race, including the 9 truck of Taylor, who's now leading there on that top side lane, but things are getting very squirrely behind him here on the apex of 3 and 4. He's going to be a race leader here on the exit. If he takes this push off the corner, they're going to be side by side. Very close race here to the line. As we cross the line here on lap 46, it's going to be Taylor in corner. It's 1-2 down to corner number 1.
Yeah, 1 and 2, and this battle continues to rage here for the front part of the racetrack as well. As a big move there by the wow, that was a huge move down to the inside there. I'm not entirely sure who that was as well. I believe that was the 33 of Rogers, takes the position away from the 42 of Corner. So that was an aggressive move from the second spot of the outside line to move down to the bottom, but you got to take those advantages when you get them, Will. I mean, you may not get that opportunity again to go back down to a line like that. And the way that this pace of this race has been going, these kind of 10-lap sprints that we've been kind of on so far, I think track position starts to become really key.
Yeah, Rogers right there in that 33 truck lived by the wise words of Ricky Bobby and said slingshot, engaged, and shot that gap right through, as he is now our leader across the line heading down to corner number 1. That 33 truck of Rogers has had a lot of speed here tonight, maybe not racing inside this top 5, but has now found his way at the top of the grid. Has some speed behind him there on that low side lane if they can just stay together. Still racing off with 2 here. Oh man, things got a little hairy there off of 2. We're keeping it together though, as Taylor in that 9 truck is going to take us down the backstretch.
Well, a shout out to our producer Ryan Bauer, who actually gave me a little bit of a heads up that my ATVO wasn't showing all the cars on the screen because I didn't have enough cars showing in the sim. So a little bit of a better update for you here. It's actually 21 trucks that are on the lead lap, not the 18 that I saw a little bit earlier. As you see, a little bit of a squirrely contact there. The Team Watson Racing setups machine there, getting a little bit more of a push than he wanted to right there. That was almost interesting, Will.
Yeah, this is going to get dicey when they come up on this lap truck right here, because these guys have been moving, shaking, and baking right here at the top side of this grid. So watch out as we cruise up to this lap truck. If the lap truck knows this train is a-coming, as right now the Rogers in that 33 truck is going to get a big push. As you see wisely, that lap truck is going to go way on the low side of the apron there on the back stretches. Right now, Boyd in that 78 truck is going to try to move for the lead there on the inside lane, as Rogers in the 33 is going to go top side with a big push from the 9 of Taylor, but it looks like Boyd is right back where he started from. Right there in that 78 truck of Boyd is now our race leader, once again heading down the front stretch.
Yeah, and a little bit confusing there by a little bit of a move by Rogers there. I really was expecting him to stick with Boyd there. He was getting a really good push from him, and then in the middle of the push there, moved up to the high side to kind of block off Taylor there. Now we'll move back down to the bottom side and get the push from Boyd again. Really doing all he can to kind of block both lanes right now is Rogers, and we've seen that all night long. And I think you got to be a little bit careful there, Will. We see these aggressive moves almost happen there again. They're coming up to the lap machine here at 27 of Keenan Kuzin. He's going to be probably moving down to the bottom side, as we saw some other drivers there. But I don't really know why these guys are being so aggressive with these moves this early in this race. It's a lot of aggression that we're seeing here for these lead spots.
Yeah, a lot of aggression though. Maybe it's not so good for the racers in this race, but it's very exciting for us up here in the booth. I love an exciting race. I love a high octane race right now, as we have a lap truck there on the top side of the racetrack, as this huge line is chugging right behind him. This is Keenan Kuzin there in that 27. Ooh, this is going to get tight right here. What an excellent shot here on Maconi Entertainment.
Yeah, that's a really good job there by Kuza there on the outside line there to just kind of hold that outside line and let the rest of the field kind of pass below him here. That will kind of mix up your pack a little bit. They see people maneuvering now to get around the lap truck there of the 27. That'll put him about 2 laps down here, I believe now. Yeah, it'll be 2 laps down there for the 27 of Keenan Kuzin. So not the night that he was looking for, especially working his way all the way up in the top 5. I mean, that kind of happens here at Daytona. We talk about the roulette wheel of racing here as we continue to see it spin towards the front of our pack. Cars just darting out there. One driver almost getting in the wall there. I'm not entirely sure who that was, but this is getting hairy up towards the front of the pack.
Yes, boys, our race leader is going to take us down into the corner right now. Corner number 1, still our race leader there in that 78. As now you see the 88 of Lucas now has worked his way back up there, Ian. If you remember, he was involved in an earlier accident in this race, has now taken that fast repair, gotten his truck back into the mix, is now inside the top 5 right there in that 88 truck. He's actually racing for the lead if he can maintain this position there on the low side into 3.
Oh, another wreck in the back there. One truck over. I'm not entirely sure who else was involved there, but I did see one truck over. You see up ahead of you there about 5-6 other trucks involved. That's going to bring out the caution flag right at the halfway point of this race here. It looks like that's the 24, if I can get a good look at it here. That's one of the trucks that was involved. We'll see what happened here on the replay, Will.
Big wreck there once again here, Ian. We're going to watch a close look here. We're going to go 3 wide, a big run from that 72. Ooh, the danger zone strikes again, once again there, Ian. Right on the entry of 3, you're going to watch a huge run from the 72 truck. Get right into the back of the 04 McDonald right here. So watch this on your screen, folks. You're going to see that 72 just really shoot the gap here. You're going to see him right there, and just barely make contact with that 04 with that big run. And now it's just going to set off the dominoes.
Yeah, that 09 came up and collected a few other trucks that were on the top line as well. 37, one of them that was involved. That's going to be Jonathan Green. He now finds himself on pit road after that incident. You'll see a lot of other trucks go to pit road here, especially for, I believe, repairs and maybe a little bit more. It looks like the 72 is another truck. Kevin Carlisle on your screen right now. He was also involved in the incident as well. So these wrecks continue to just kind of shrink down the field a little bit. We'll see here the 72 kind of trying to snake his way through the middle of the air and then just catches the 4. The 4 is going to come down, and then it's just carnage from there, Will.
And I think this touches on what you were just talking about, Ian, this aggressive style of racing. Although this didn't happen up there for the lead, this is going to entangle a lot of drivers that were racing inside the top 5, top 10. And although they got shifted back just a little bit further down the grid right up there, you saw this actually touches, again, Ian, from what we were talking about earlier with those runs. That 72 truck had a huge run, and instead of checking up there, the 04 came down the track. The 72 at that point, though, I'd have to take my hat off to him, really had no option but to basically just run through the 04, because the 04 was coming down because he felt the draft off the truck in front of him. So that's just a chain reaction there. That's just truck racing here at Daytona. That's just running from that draft.
I don't think the 72 thought that, that he was going to come down like that as well. And while we're just over the halfway point here in our race broadcast, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break under the caution flag here from our 2022 Saturday for the Boys event, presented here on Maconi Setup Shop by Admin Box and presenting the Movember Foundation. So on the other side of the break, we'll come back and have the rest of this race here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Maconi Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Maconi Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MaconiSetupShop.com and learn why Maconi Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
The 2022 Saturday for the Boys charity event benefiting the Movember Foundation is brought to you by Admin Box. Admin Box offers you race control at your fingertips. Each one of our race controls tonight have an admin box that has pre-programmed iRacing admin controls with no key binds required. Maconi Competizione uses the admin box for the race controllers of all their events, and if you want to get your own admin box, you can go over there to www.adminbox.com. Use the code MOV-BOX, that's BOXX, for 25% off at checkout, plus 5% of your purchase will be donated to the Movember Foundation. And again, all night long here, we're looking for donations for the Movember Foundation. That QR code on the top right-hand corner of your screen will take you there. It's also just Maconi Setup Shop, Movember Foundation, if you want to Google it as well. Pace truck will go ahead and pull off one more time here. Barney the flag man with green flag in hand will wave it again here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Right now, the person in control of the field is going to be the AZ8 of Carson Lucas with Justin Melillo with the 53 there on the outside. Cornice, Rogers, Boyd, your top 5 right now as they head into turn 1.
Yeah, right now is Lucas in that 88 truck. I mentioned it right before that caution flag flew. He was actually involved in an earlier incident there, Ian. I don't know if you remember that or not. He was tagged up pretty good. Use that fast repair. Is now back in the mix in that 88 machine. He's going to be our race leader off of 2, as it's going to be that 88 and that 53 of Melillo. He's now worked his way back up through the grid as you saw him drift to about the 7th position there. He's now going to be our race leader. Oh, we almost had another caution there on the entry of 3.
Yeah, and Melillo's been really aggressive with that side drafting, and I will give him a kind of a tip of the cap here. He's been one of the few drivers that is able to use that side draft to their advantage and really slow down that inside line. Melillo doing a great job of managing both lines once he's in front of them. And when he gets back in the pack a little bit, that's where he starts to struggle to find positions. And right now, that 53, I think, is going to be one of your drivers to watch out for, to be claiming the checkered flag here at the end of the night. Another driver that has been looking really good so far, but quietly moving his way up through the field is the driver that joins him on the outside of that front row right there. That's going to be Rogers in the 33, also doing a great job in this race so far, Will, as we have 45, going to be 44 laps to go when they get back to the stripe. Starting to get into a little bit of a crunch time. I don't think this is where you start to see, as we say it, the aggressive moves all night long. But this isn't we're going to see the moves where you're going to win the race, but you got to start to set yourself up at least to put yourself in that position, I think, here.
Yeah, this is where you want to start. As we talked about to start this broadcast off, we're taking mental notes. You're starting to figure out how to tame this track here tonight. And as you've seen it, Ian, there's been a lot of moving pieces. A lot of drivers aren't content in the positions that they're in here. You see a lot of drivers try different lines, move out of that draft, break those draft lines, go 3 wide in some circumstances here. But right now, Ian, as you touched, you want to be really mathematically, you want to be inside that top 10, maybe top 15 at the lowest. If you're any further back here on the racetrack with 44 laps to go, it's going to be a tough mountain to climb, foregoing any caution we have, as now we have a new race leader on the entry of 3 as Taylor in that 9 truck overtakes.
Yeah, Jeffrey Taylor in the 9 and that Team Watson Racing setup machine there was able to take away the lead there from Melillo on the inside line. Now he's going to move back up to the outside line. That's going to allow Rogers to take control of the inside line with a push from Melillo there in the 53. So this top 5 group here continuing to just chip away at the rest of these positions. And Melillo's been able to stay safe so far from most of the carnage. Can't say the same for his former Traction GT partner there, and Keenan Kuzin there in the 27. He's having a little bit of a rough go, but really Justin Melillo has been the one to look out for so far as this race has gone on. And I think one you're going to continue to watch here as we get towards the evening end here. But Rogers still in that 33, able to hang on to control of the bottom line there. Taylor on the outside still as they head into turn number 3.
Yeah, right now, Taylor on the outside lane, Rogers in that 33. We've seen the 33 and the 9 of Taylor really come on strong here this second half of this race. Really, drivers we didn't call out here to start off the race, but now they're really inside the top 3, top 5, now holding positions, as now we see Boyd in that all-white Stormtrooper-looking truck has now snuck his way back into the mix as well. Of course, that's been a driver that's been inside the top 3 for the majority of tonight's race. Now has some competition at the top of the grid as we come off of 2.
Yeah, and you can kind of see how much this field has been thinned out. We started with 43 drivers, now thinned out to about 15 here that are really seriously running for this race win as we get to 41 laps to go as they cross the stripe this next time by. So really, if you're one of these trucks that survived this far, I think you continue to have to think survival here as a lap truck will move to the outside. They'll kind of shake up our pack a little bit here. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to take advantage of that, maybe gain themselves a positioner here too. But really now, I think especially if you're at this point, you really got to be careful. You've gotten this far without messing up your race. You don't want to do it now.
No, definitely now with 41 laps to go, you cannot afford any more mistakes. And for a lot of these drivers, Ian, that we're still seeing on the track, they can't afford it just based off no more fast repairs. So if you take any more heavy damage to your truck here and the late proceedings of this race, you can all but kiss that race victory goodbye. As right now, Taylor in that 9 truck's getting a huge push on that top side lane right there from Dunwoody. Now, Dunwoody's one of those names, as I mentioned, I love to see the underdogs really work up the grid. Dunwoody hasn't been a name that we've called out too much either there in that 28 as we come around 3 and 4 right now to this front stretch, as now Dunwoody's going to get a big block there in the top side lane there, blocking hard off of corner number 4.
Now, Dunwoody able to work himself up to the lead of this race, and you kind of mentioned it. Where did he come from? Not a lane that we've talked about really so far. He's not the 78 Avoid or the 53 Malillo, but now finds himself leading this race here on the outside line with Taylor now controlling that bottom line in the Team Watson Racing setups machine. And again, these lines are just continue to ebb and flow here for this last couple. Oh, we have another wreck there. That's going to take out the 9 of Rogers. Or, I'm sorry, the 9 of Taylor there was involved. It looks like only 2 trucks this time. I don't think anybody else there was involved. But again, Will, we see another driver maybe trying to clear themselves when they weren't quite clear. And we mentioned these drivers that have worked themselves up from the back of the pack all the way to the front. It's really a change of perception when you're trying to chase down the leader versus when you are the leader.
Yeah, we're going to check out this Maconi Entertainment replay to see what brought out this caution here once again. You see Dunwoody up there in the 28, Boyd in that 78. It's going to push him with a huge push coming off the corner there. You're going to see what exactly... No, I think right there, Ian, I think the 28 just wasn't really comfortable with the push from Boyd in that 78, and just may have, as I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, the draft, you try to overcorrect on the wheel when you start to feel that air really get underneath you, push you in a way you don't really like. And you see right here, Dunwoody's going to try to overcorrect on that wheel, and the 9 of Taylor's right there.
Yeah, the 9 of Taylor got some, but it looks like the rest of the field got through that relatively clean. And yeah, you were right, Will. I kind of missaw it there. I thought it was another one of the situations of, not clear, but really it was just Dunwoody there not able to hang on to the push that he was getting from the 78. I don't think it was necessarily a bad push. You kind of see there it was on the straightaway, and it wasn't really too off-centered. Another thing that kind of happens, too, when you see some of those bump drafts, especially if it's a really hard one, the rear tires of the truck can actually lift off the ground a little bit, and that's where you kind of see it, especially on the straightaway there. So that's going to bring out our caution flag here. 39 laps to go in our race, and it's going to be feeding time on pit road. I do think this is the time we're going to see everybody go ahead and stock up on Sunoco race fuel here to make it the rest of the way here from Daytona. Again, if you're watching along at home, I don't know why you haven't done it yet. We haven't gotten a donation here in a while, so I'm calling out every single viewer right now that hasn't gone and navigated that QR code there on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Make a donation to the Movember Foundation. We're continuing to take donations through the rest of the evening. I think even after the race is over, donations are still available. So go out there, check it out, and make sure you get yourself a donation to the Movember Foundation. Goes to a great cause here this evening.
Yes, sir, indeed. And I believe, Ian, I think we're going to be joined by a special guest here as we're under caution. A man who has put this event together here tonight for a wonderful charity, a wonderful cause. I couldn't be more happier to represent this wonderful cause here tonight. As you saw to start off this broadcast, I tried to grow in a little beard. But take it away, Ian, with our special guest.
Yeah, we got Jeffrey Maconi here in the he's in the 15th position right now in the 03 truck. Jeff, how's it felt out there so far? I know you had to avoid a few things. How are you feeling so far?
I feel good. I'm feeling very good, very confident. I'm very lucky to have 2 incredible teammates out here, Joey Masevich and David Collier. Very lucky to have those 2 working with me. And we're just trying to survive, the big surviving. So Sorry, I'm a bit scatterbrained at the moment. We're implementing the last bit of our strategy and preparing for what could be the run to the end of the race. We're getting down close to the wire here, under a third of the race to go, and it gets tense.
So 2 questions for you, Jeff. 1, have you to use the fast repair yet? And then 2, what's the fuel window look like? Can you guys make it to the end on this stop?
I can answer one of those questions. The other one I will not, because I know people are listening in. So I have not used my fast repair. David has not, Joey has. So I've made it a point this race to stay at the back, stay far out of trouble, and make sure that everything's good and I don't have to use that safety net that we got. And as for the fuel window, if we can make it to the end here, maybe.
Well, you
maybe
just
not.
you went in and you fueled up again, and so I don't really think you would do that if you couldn't make it. So I'm just saying. But I'm not trying to give away your strategy or anything like that.
I've done that every time. The most important thing to me right now is staying at the back and staying out of trouble. Because for every one of these cautions, I've gotten very lucky by just avoiding it, by just basically stopping on the track. So that's been my secret to avoiding the wrecks. P15 right now, I think it's going to be P13 at the start. I can go up there and win it. I pushed it a little bit earlier. I got up and I was slicing through traffic, and then I said, okay, I know what I got, so I'm going to hang at the back. But I feel admin box, and they were also very, very kind in, if you use the code that is on the broadcast. Yeah, if you can use that and make that plug, it's a 5% donation in. So thank you to them. Thank you to everyone here that's helped put this on and make it possible.
BOXX, and like Jeff mentioned, that's for 25% off at checkout at adminbox.com. Plus 5 of that will be donated to the Movember Foundation as well. So this isn't your first year doing this, Jeff. You've been doing this for a few years, right?
That is correct. Last year we raised about $1,700 for the event, for the charity, and it's all donated directly to Movember. We never touch the money. We never have any chance to, where if it changes hands, then you have to pay, the fees on each transfer. We don't even touch it. We never come into contact with it. It goes straight to Movember. So with this event, we've now raised probably about $3,000 for Movember, which makes a big difference to them, which is incredible. They've been incredibly nice to me. They've assigned actually someone to help out specifically with this event, so I've been working with them and checking in all throughout the month. They sent me, if I can show this, they sent me a pair of underwear, which I think is awesome. So, if there's ever going to be a race where I show off the underwear they sent me, this is the one. So thank you to Movember for sending those to me. And everything they do, it raises money for male-specific things, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, everything they do, men's mental health and suicide awareness. It's incredible. So,
well, I got the hard numbers for you, Jeff. We've raised $1,181 so far this time around. And then you were kind of mentioning it, $2,961 since 2021 when you first got started with everything as well. So good on you for doing this for us and everything like that. Really appreciate you coming and talking to us. Pace car is diving off this time by, so I'm going to throw you back up there with your teammates. But I appreciate you coming and talking to us, Jeff.
Absolutely, and I got to give a quick shout out to all my sponsors: Maconi Setup Shop of Bruising, Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competitive Zone, Ron the Snack Guy, the Sim Racer movie, which will be out on streaming platforms soon, WSMN.live, WSMN 1590 AM. I believe, no, Victory Sim. I'm getting a new sim. I'm going to go pick that up in Charlotte this weekend, Hickory, this weekend. And shout out to Bridget, who's watching with all her friends. If she texts me, then I know she's actually watching. If not, then it's going to break my heart. But shout out so much. Really, really does mean the world to raise money by just essentially playing pretend race cars and making a real world difference is absolutely incredible. And the fact that I get to do it here and drive around for 100 laps and help people is really incredible.
Well, we appreciate it, Jeff. We'll let you get back to racing here. That was Jeff Maconi. He's head of Maconi Setup Shop, and then, of course, organizing the race here tonight with Maconi Competitive Zone, the 2022 Saturday for the Boys here for Movember Foundation. We're back to green flag racing here, 34 laps to go, and Will, while Jeff there was going through all the sponsors, a few interesting things have happened. No incidents. Boyd, Melillo, McDonald, Cornice, and Bisnet still your top 5 here, and again, we're getting down the crunch time. 34 laps to go here from Daytona. You're going to start seeing some of these moves.
Yeah, with 34 laps to go, you're starting to see the shaking out of the competitors we're going to see at the end. Of course, the 78 of Boyd as we come around 3 and 4 right now, looking like a stormtrooper out here on the track. I think I'm hearing the Imperial March in the background because he has marched his way to the top of this grid once again. He has a partner there in that 04 of McDonald. Watch the speed on the inside lane. Of course, Melillo there on the top side lane with the 53. He has a working partner there in the 42 of Cornets. You see the 69 of Bisnet up there as well. That's going to be our top 5 on the racetrack, and they are very, very close here off of 2.
Yeah, very, very close. And now I've kind of noticed something there as well. McDonald there in the 04 was kind of doing the side draft there, but kind of doing it for the 42, kind of keeping them up the racetrack. That's given Boyd the advantage here going through 3 and 4. You see there Melillo still about a few truck lengths back here and trying to get that top lane to pull with him. He's only got about 5 trucks with him so far, where the bottom lane has about, I would say, 8 or 9. You even go back all the way 10 here when you keep going through that line. But I think that top lane's going to need a few more trucks if Melillo's going to try to get out in front of Boyd this time from the top side at least.
Yeah, as we dig down into corner number 1, we've seen it all night long though, Ian. That top side lane, oh no, big wreck right there as Melillo gets sideways there in the 53, takes out Bisnet and that 69, the 33 is tagged up as well, as once again our leaders wreck here at Daytona.
Yeah, leaders wreck here at Daytona. Melillo was involved. We'll see if there's any damage there. That's significantly to that 53 machine. Let's see what the start of all this was. I think just battling for track position here with so few laps to go is kind of what we're seeing. You're seeing Melillo there move all the way down to the bottom side. And really, honestly, there, McDonald in the 04 just didn't really turn the racetrack there. I got to be honest.
No, and you watch here on this Maconi Entertainment replay, the 04 of McDonald's going to hold his line there on the inside lane, even though he has the 53 come all the way on top of him, go at a 90-degree angle in front of his truck. You barely see the 04 move. What a way to stay level-headed and keep that truck moving forward.
Yeah, the 33 involved as well, so that's unfortunate for him. I am interested to see, though, maybe this angle will give us a better view here. I just don't really think that Melillo came too far down on the racetrack. I don't know, maybe if McDonald was paying attention to Melillo on the outside there and then just didn't notice, because we'll see here, this will be a good view from the top here. Melillo just kind of starts the turn, and then, yeah, you see McDonald there just kind of goes up the racetrack. It looks like I said, I think he was focused with Melillo there on his outside and didn't really realize the turn was coming at him that fast.
Yeah, that looks very tricky there. It's almost like a 50-50 there, Ian. You could see the 04 held his line, the 53 came down, and it just looked like a give and take there. It's just bad timing on both ends there from the 04 and the 53. A little bit of a 50-50 there battle, if you will. As you said, the 04 moved a little bit, the 53 came down as well. But we've really seen it all night long here, though, Ian. We've seen the top of the grid here try to move from the top side to the low side. A lot of give and take up there at the top. But right now, as these laps are ticking down, these drivers are trying to pull off the same moves they did to start this race, and they're not paying off.
Yeah, I think 30 laps to go now. I would assume around 28 laps to go. We go back to green flag racing here. We'll see if Melillo has some extended time on pit road. Boyd's going to win your race off of pit road here. He didn't take any tires, I believe, that time around. So we go back to caution flag here. And if you take a look at the top right-hand part of your screen, you'll see that QR code. That'll take you to the Movember Foundation website. You can make donations here. We're taking donations all night long. I believe to about midnight Eastern time is when it runs, maybe even longer than that. So if you don't have anything right now for the broadcast, you can still donate later on in the week here by following that QR code. You can also go to Google and search up Maconi Setup Shop Movember Foundation. That'll take you there as well. So 30 laps to go here. Going to be, like I said, about probably 28 when we go back to green flag racing here. Will, you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you got to put yourself in a position with about, I call it 25 to 20 laps to go to be really have a chance to win this race. Now that we get to this caution flag here, I think that's where you're going to start to see some of these moves. What do you think?
And Ian, this is no offense to the drivers that are on top of the grid right now, but I don't recognize any of these guys. You know, of course, Lucas in that 88 was involved in an earlier accident. You look past him. You look at Stanley in that 60. Yeah, you know, you look past Boyd and Cornett who have been inside there. Then you look at the 76 of Neer, the 79 of Stubblefield right there, Logston right there in that 54, Baker in that 24 was involved in an earlier accident as well. Vethusen right there in the 23. A lot of these guys we haven't called out at all here tonight have now put themselves, as you just mentioned, Ian, in a spot to potentially sneak up the grid here. A couple more positions, and you can snag that race victory at the end.
No, yeah, you kind of mentioned it there, like Carson Lucas, you talked about him a few times, how he had the incident earlier in the race as well, and then, you know, Brian Boyd, Mackenzie Cornice, Brad Neer even actually finds himself all the way back there in top 5 after he had some early race incidents here, being your pole sitter from the race this evening. But yeah, you kind of mentioned it, Stubblefield, Veldhusen, Baker, some of these guys just outside of the top 10, maybe even inside the top 10. Names we haven't seen so far here tonight. We talked to Jeff Maconi earlier. He said that he wanted to kind of sit towards the back and let these incidents kind of play out in front of him. I don't think he's the only one that has that strategy here tonight. We'll go back to green flag racing this time around. But I think you're starting to see some of those guys that hung back, Will, now starting to move their ways to the front.
Yeah, and you get a great shot of these trucks here tonight from this groundhog camera, as they used to say back in the day. They're going to come cruising by us here right now. And, you know, I just want to take the time to thank all these drivers for taking their time out here tonight for racing for an excellent cause here, racing for charity. I know a lot of these drivers out here either race in money leagues, fun leagues. They take iRacing extremely seriously. Not that they're not taking this race here serious tonight, Ian, but I think racing for an excellent cause just kind of warms your heart, and you get to have fun while you're doing it.
No, yeah, this is fun. You know, you mentioned it. Everybody's used to racing for things that they count a lot, and I'm sure everybody still wants to win this race as well. Here is Lucas will lead the field back to the green flag from Barney the Flag Man here, Carson Lucas in the 88 machine. But you mentioned it. It's for a good cause as we go back to green flag racing here for the virtual Daytona International Speedway. But yeah, I really can't feel too bad with how this race is going. All these drivers donated an entry fee, and that got donated to the Movember Foundation. As we see some shuffling around in the pack here, a lot of the drivers, look at that, they all dive to the inside line right off the bat, Will.
Yeah, Lucas in that 88 truck is living up to the homage of the 88 here at Daytona. Dale Jr. put that 88 in victory lane a few times here at this super speedway, but it looks like he's going to get left in the dust now as Boyd in the 78 is going to overtake once again, cue up the Imperial March, because the Stormtrooper has now overtaken once again. He is near in that 76. Where has he come from? Now has got himself in position here for this race victory.
Yeah, and he's been around that top 5 all night long. Will just never really has gotten himself up to where he's in solo lead of this race. He's always been leading one of the lines and had something to deal with on the outside. But right now, you see that inside line has about a 3 truck length advantage there up to Justin Melillo, and he's still in this thing. He was involved in that last incident. You do see a little bit of damage there to the 53 machine, but still making his way through the pack with help from Rogers. Those two drivers have kind of linked up here. Now look at that. Jeffrey Maconi now on the outside in the 03 machine is going to jump in this line with Melillo and try to make it work on the outside.
Where did Jeffrey Maconi come in that 03? When I looked at the restart, he was all the way down the 17th position, because you queued up my interest when you were talking about our interview with him during this race. He is now jumped up to the 6th position, now up 10 spots from the drop of this green flag here on just the last restart there, Ian. So this goes back to how these drivers are putting themselves in position. I think Jeff is in an excellent spot right here. We got to look at his setup there on your screen, rocking the virtual reality, rocking the seatbelts, rocking everything he needs to look good, to feel good, to race good here tonight, and he is definitely showing out as we come off of 2.
It definitely showed out, but I actually think he's letting himself fall back to the back of the pack again. When you talked to Jeff in his interview, he said that he really didn't want to be up towards the front. He didn't want to be mixing it up. He's got the speed to win, and he can get there. I just think he thought better of it. I don't think he wants to get going this early. Only 25 laps to go when we come back to the stripe. But 25 laps at Daytona, especially with the cautions that we've seen here so far, that takes a little bit longer than you might think.
Yeah, right now as Boyd's going to take us across this line with 25 laps to go. Down into corner number 1. Again, it's Boyd in that 78. It's the 53, Emilio right up there at the top as well. As you see the 33 truck of Rogers now worked himself back into the mix after that accident just a little while ago, nearing that 76. And we're getting dicey down the backstretch. Very, very tight, Ian, here on the entry of 3.
Oh, very, very tight, and then Melillo keeps moving down and really doing a great job. I got to hand it to Justin Melillo there in the 53. He is working in this draft, I would say, better than any other driver right now. And the reason that I say that, Will, is because every time that you see him get in the corner here, he moves all the way down to the door of that truck on the inside line. Then you see him here in the straightaways, moves all the way back up, working that side draft to his advantage. Now he'll move in front of the 78 of Boyd and take the lead across the start-finish line with 25 laps to go here. Melillo's been one of the more dominant drivers so far in this field. Just a matter of can he hang off and he hold off the rest of the pack here with 24 laps to go.
Yeah, and you see that 78 truck here on the exit of 2 is trying to inch his way to that middle lane to try to get around the 53 right now as the 53 is getting loose there on the backstretch. Oh my goodness, Ian, we almost had calamity once again as now our race leader of Rogers in that 33 is going to take us down to 3 and 4.
Well, and I think something too, the damage that Melillo has there on the 53, and you see a little bit of damage there on the 33 as well, is now lap Carl move to the inside, let those drivers get by. I think it's going to be a struggle for Melillo to lead this race. You saw there once he got to the inside line there, the inside line kind of backed up really quickly on him. It's okay to have a little bit of damage and kind of hang around in the draft, maybe get yourself top 5 as we have a little bit of incident there. The 33 is involved. Melillo's involved as well. Melillo's going to wash up the track. We'll see who gets up on the top side there. A few drivers got by. The 79 was involved there. You saw Timothy Stubblefield got a little bit of a tap from Melillo. If he didn't have damage now on that truck, he's got damage this time. I believe the 03 of Maconi that you saw there was able to get by it with no problems.
When we take a look at this Maconi Entertainment replay here, we see exactly what happened. Again, it's the incident with our leaders here on the track. Man, I don't know there, Ian. That just looks very tough there from the top side lane. Looks like the 54 right there was just getting a push, and we saw it just a little while ago that brought out our most recent caution. Looks like a driver just going to get uncomfortable from the push behind him. It's going to cause that truck to get loose. We'll see once again here on the Maconi Entertainment replay. Man, just calamity here at the top of this grid. You see Boyd right there is going to avoid damage. Heavy damage out to that 53 truck. You see the 54 is tagged up as well. See Near right there on the corner of your screen. A lot of these drivers we've been calling out here are going to get tagged up in this incident here. Only about 20 laps to go when we go green once again. It's unfortunate for a lot of these guys who've been putting forth a great effort here tonight. Unfortunately, for some of these drivers, their nights are going to end because as we were mentioning here on the broadcast, some of these drivers have already used their fast repair, have worked themselves back up through the grid. Now, unfortunately, their night is probably going to end here with 22 laps to go. And Ian, you know, for a lot of these drivers, now it's going to be a huge shakeup here at the top of this grid. It's really anybody's race here with 22 laps to go.
No, it really is. We kind of mentioned the drivers that haven't used their fast repair yet. We checked it with Jeff Maconi. He hadn't used his fast repair yet. I don't think he had any damage that time by. But definitely Melillo with damage. A few other leaders as well having a lot of damage in that last accident. You see drivers heading the pit road now. One driver looks like will stay out, but it looks like pretty much everyone else is going to come down, at least get some kind of service here. And we keep saying it, you know, this might be the final pit stop, but I do think we're going to see a few more caution flags coming out here, Will, with now 21 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'd just say from the drop of the green flag here, lap number 1, it's been the same style of just aggressive, put your nose in front of the guy and the guy in front of you, go 3 wide, nudge people out of your way, pinch people on the top side wall. These drivers are really showing out here tonight. It's a 100-lap shootout, if you will, here. These drivers have wasted nothing here tonight, left nothing on the table. And I think whoever wins this race here tonight is practically going to be the last truck standing.
Yeah, and we've seen aggression all over the racetrack. Something that comes to mind is, I don't think he's been doing anything wrong, but the 78 of Brian Boyd has been very aggressive with his pushing all night long, trying to get to the front of this race. And it's a catch-22 when especially in these trucks when it comes to pushing. I mean, you gotta handle that push. It's very important to be able to handle that kind of racing here. But at the same time, if you're not used to it, you're not expecting it. We already saw one driver this evening get spun around from a push from another driver. It's easier said than done, honestly.
It really is, and as you just touched on there, Ian, our last couple of cautions have been, up at the top of the grid, but it's really been from the driver pushing a guy in front of you. It's almost like the driver in front is not ready for that push. The push isn't straight on. The draft just feels weird because the most of the cautions we've seen now here, counting the laps down here, about 20 laps to go, the driver really tries to overcorrect, just get sideways, just doesn't like being pushed like that. And that's what's created this calamity we've seen here at the end of this race.
The lights are out here on the timing tower and then also on the pace car as well. So I do believe he would go back to green flag racing here with 19 laps to go. So it is getting into that proverbial crunch time that we talked about, Will. I think a lot of your drivers, if they've had their damage at this point, they've kind of cycled through there. You see Masevich there in the 64 on the outside. He's worked his way all the way up into the third position now. He has his teammate Jeffrey Maconi there on his outside as well. So interesting to see. We've seen all night long these guys said they were going to be ready to go at the end of the race. Here they are as we come back to the backstretch here as we head down. Talk to me, Will. I mean, we've gotten to the point you were talking about all night long where it's going to start to be, we're making these moves now. Is this where we're going to start to see it, or do you think with all these cautions that we've seen, these drivers are going to say, hey, I think I got one more caution, I think I wait for a little bit?
No, I really don't think any of these drivers, a lot of these drivers have now waited their time, used their fast repairs, worked themselves up in the grid. And as wise philosopher Cardi B once said, this is the time to make those money moves here with about 20 laps to go. You've put everything out on the table. You have used your fast repair. You have nothing else to lose here, Ian, with about 20 laps to go. So I'm really looking at drivers, Jeff Maconi right there in that 03 machine has worked hard here tonight. The 42 of Cornets has worked very hard. The 53, you see him still in the top 5 with all that damage here tonight. All these drivers that just really put it all on the line, left everything on the table here. They want to finish strong. They want to get up to the top of the grid here because they know this race is ticking down.
Back green flag back in the air here. Brad Neer, your pole sitter, actually finds himself in the lead of this race one more time after falling all the way through the field, all the way back up the field. And I believe we have caution on the racetrack one more time. Really, I'm not entirely sure what happened there.
No, it looks like maybe just a bad restart there. A few drivers may have gotten out of line, a little sideways there. I'll have to check out the Maconi Entertainment replay to see what happened there on the restart. We've had pretty clean restarts here tonight, Ian. No trouble so far throughout tonight's race, but now I think these laps are ticking down a little bit. These drivers are getting a little bit more anxious, a little bit more sweaty on the simulator, if they will. Because you've been racing now. I'd say you've been racing for a solid going on 2 hours here. So it's really starting to build up here at the end of this race.
Well, according to my ATVO timing and scoring right now, looks like about an hour and a half that these drivers have been racing. So yeah, you kind of mentioned it. I mean, not the biggest mental fortitude needed, but still some mental fortitude needed here. There was a little bit of an incident apparently coming to the green. We'll see what happened here. There's David Collier Jr. Well, that is interesting to say the least. I don't really know what happened there.
And we're going to see once again here, Maconi Entertainment, what happened there. That's very interesting there, Ian. I'm not sure what may have happened there. Just crazy there on that restart.
So what I don't get there is what happened to the 22 that caused maybe a little bit of netcode issues there, Will, but you see the 22 kind of had a weird reaction to that, kind of just once the Collier there got to his outside, the back end of that truck kind of like snapped around on him. Watch it here.
We're going to watch once again. Yeah, it's
Or
just a
maybe
weird-
just moving up the racetrack a little bit there, and then just the that was strange though. You don't really see that. I mean, you'll see that at short tracks where tire wear is a significant issue. I will say you don't see that very often here at super speedways.
No, I'm gonna see once again here.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit of net
Yeah.
code for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit there. Just a teeny bit there, I have to say.
Yeah, and for those of you watching along at home that maybe don't know what netcode is, that's just essentially just lag. So that if you get a little bit close to a driver there, maybe the connections kind of don't really sync up there, and you saw there wasn't much contact there on your screen, but enough there for iRacing to think there's two cars next to each other, and a little bit of contact there. So kind of an anticlimactic restart there. But we'll be going back here with maybe 15 laps to go here now. I think maybe this will be a good time for us. Let's see, the pace car lights are still on here. We'll take a quick break here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, and we come back. Hopefully we'll have the last 15 laps for you here with some green flag racing from Daytona.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairground Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Maconi Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Maconi Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MaconiSetupShop.com and learn why Maconi Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
The 2022 Saturday for the Boys on Maconi Entertainment is brought to you by Admin Box. Admin Box offers you race control at your fingertips. Each Admin Box features pre-programmed iRacing admin controls with no key binding required. Maconi Competizione uses Admin Box for the race controllers of all their events. We have our race controller here tonight, Brandon Davis. He's using one of their admin boxes, and you can go to www.adminbox.com and use code MOV-BOX, that's BOXX, for 25% out at checkout, and 5% of your purchase will be donated to the Movember Foundation as well. So, we're back here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We're going to green flag racing, this time by that QR code at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Can be used to donate to the Movember Foundation. But back to green flag racing this time. 15 laps to go. It's a shootout. What do you expect?
Oh, I expect exactly what you just said right there. A shootout, a Wild West shootout style right now here as we're going to cross this line and go green flag racing once again here as we dig down to corner number one. Looks like a clean restart so far as our leader is going to take us down to the corner.
Not even a clean restart, but also a teammate restart there, it appears, between Brad Neer and Brian Boyd. You saw Boyd immediately moving down to the bottom lane, now finds himself back on the top side of the racetrack. Brad Neer there in the 76 will hold the inside line there, giving a push from Joey Misevich there in the 64. And with Jeffrey Maconi, his Maconi Setup Shop teammate, to the outside, he just saw that last incident involved their third teammate. That's going to be David Collier Jr. there. Wasn't able to get to the front, but now Maconi will make a move to the lead here, able to get in front of the 76, and he mentioned it. He was going to bide his time here until about this 15 lap to go mark. Now look at that. That 0-3 is in the lead here at Daytona.
And as Ludacris once said, he is coming for that number one spot, and he has done just that. He saw the speed of the inside lane there. He made sure to put his rocket right on that launch pad. Is now going to be our race leader down at the corner number one, Jeffrey Maconi in that 03.
Yeah, now really what Jeff's going to have to do in that 03 machine is, if you're me, you just want to hug that yellow line. You don't really care if anybody tries to make the move to the outside of you. I think you're kind of content with that.
I think you got to kind of choose a line and stick with it here at this point and kind of go from where it may. You start to see there on the outside Boyd, and then it looks like the 42 of Cornice here. Again, working that outside line. Cornice has been one of the better pushers here in this race so far, but hasn't been able to get to the front of it. Well, we'll see what they're able to do here with 13 laps to go as they come to the stripe.
Yeah, as they come off of corner number 4, right up there, you see Boyd, you see Cornets there on that top side lane. Keep digging and digging and digging. But Shiloh LaBeouf showed you in holes you can only dig for so long, as now that top side lane is starting to dissipate just a little bit. They need friends out there. They need people to play with there on that top side lane. If this holds right now, Jeffrey Maconi's in an excellent spot with Nier right behind him. He has Joey right there in that 64. That low side lane is just going to keep chugging along here as these laps tick down.
Well, they also said too, Shia LaBeouf also once said, don't let your dreams be dreams. And right now, Jeff Maconi is doing that, leading that inside line. You see that Boyd there is trying to form up that outside line. It is starting to come together here on the outside there, but it's not quite there yet. Only got about 4 or 5 trucks with him. You see another truck there that was on the outside line die to the inside line. If that outside line wants to make any kind of push here towards the front, Boyd's going to need a little bit more help than that. 12 laps to go here from the virtual Daytona. Maconi still leading that bottom line near Vasevich, Melillo, Boyd. Your top 5 right now. Back from there, Cornice, Lucas, Rogers, Veld, Houston, and Stanley. Your top 10. And really anybody's race here about 1st through 15 still here at Daytona.
And you start to see a little movement there to the top side lane as we head down the backstretch right now. A lot of speed. Melillo there in that 53 is going to go with Boyd in that 78. They were competitors here throughout tonight's race. They are now trying to link up there on that top side lane. Come on over to the barbecue because the food is good. We want to win this race here tonight. They're trying to chug their big wreck there right behind the leaders. See if the caution flag flies here. It is out here with 11 laps to go.
11 laps to go, and then another thing that I wanted to point out here as well is the field will come by and slow down the pace road speed. It looks like one driver trying to get it going there. They're in a Maconi setup machine paint scheme. I believe that's the 69 of Bissonette. It is going to be him here trying to get back up to speed. Doesn't look like too much damage there on that Maconi setup machine truck here, but we'll see what happens. I'm not really up. It's the danger zone again. That's what it was, Will.
See right there. See that 3 wide racing, as fun, as exhilarating as it could be on this simulator in real life. Whatever racing you do there, Ian, once you get in there, it's a whole different territory. As the new Jason Momoa movie shows you, it's dreamland for a lot of these guys. You get inside that 3 wide situation, you start feeling really, really good. You start feeling like, I got this, I can shoot the gap. And then you start to feel that tug of war from each side of you. And in most instances, unless you have that clear path to go right through that hole, it's going to end just like that.
And I believe, I'm trying to see here, it looks like that was the 04 of McDonald that was also involved there. I think McDonald was the car, or I'm sorry, the truck there. That the other truck spun themselves off of here. You'll see they're coming off of 4, a little bit of them coming together. And we mentioned it from the top of this broadcast and got a little bit of help there from the 69 coming back across the track. But we mentioned at the top of this broadcast, you can go 3 wide here. Like, it happens at Daytona. There's enough room. There's not as much room as you think, though, and I think that's just kind of what happened there. Everybody going for the same spot, especially with 10 laps to go here. These kind of things happen at Daytona. Again, that QR code there at the top of your screen. Go to the Movember Foundation. Donate. Why haven't you donated yet? You're watching the race. Just do it. It's not that hard. You can do PayPal. You can do your card. You can do whatever you want, but there's no reason why you shouldn't donate. Everybody who's in this race here has donated at least $10 to be able to race here tonight for the win. So if you're watching along at home, I'm not trying to guilt trip you into donating, but I also am as well. You should go to that QR code and at least chip in a few bucks. It helps out Men's Health, and that's an important thing for all of us here on Maconi Entertainment. So we really appreciate everybody watching. Obviously, we're making the jokes about donating, but we appreciate all the donations we've gotten here so far this evening. And we're going to go back to Green Flag Racing here with, I believe, about 8 laps to go here, Will. the timeline just continues to narrow itself, and then we have a possibility of 9 extra laps in this race, considering the green-white checkered situations that we have here. I imagine at this point we chip into at least one of those, but each one of these incidents we do have narrows a few more cars off the field.
Yeah, and before we get to that there, I do want to shout out Blair Patterson for going ahead and donating, watching the race here tonight, and also donating using that QR code that you see on the screen. It's easy to use, as Blair said. You just scan that with your phone. Most phones out there have just the easy, you just hold your camera up to it. You don't have to hit the QR button anymore. It automatically pops up on your camera. You hit that button, you go and donate whatever you can there. But Ian, like you said here, probably going to go green with about 7-8 laps to go. I think the drivers now have really solidified themselves in those winning positions. You know, we're looking at spots maybe further, maybe I'd say the max right now, I would say around the 10th spot. I say the 10th spot because, Ian, we're not hoping, but we're foreseeing maybe another caution happening here at the top of this grid. But maybe looking at the underdogs here in this mix of maybe Boyd, the 42 of Cornets right there. You know, you see near that 76, although in the second spot right now has really been an underdog here tonight. So a lot of these drivers could really sneak into the end of this race because, you know, just like me, I know yourself, there's been a lot of photo finishes, a lot of 3 wide finishes at the line here at Daytona, and I think we're going to see exactly that here tonight.
Oh yeah, and especially just how we've seen these drivers here willing to make it 3, not 4 wide. I will say I don't think 4 wide's quite possible here at Daytona without seeing some problems. But I'm starting to see some of these drivers having no problem pushing it 3 wide, and we will go back to green flag racing here with about 8 laps to go. So I would assume we're going to see some more action here. I would assume that we're going to see drivers going for some moves, and you kind of mentioned it about the top 10 positions still have a realistic chance of winning this race, but I've seen it before where the top 10 just wraps themselves up and then somebody who's in 15th position comes in and steals the win. So with 9 laps to go, Jeff Maconi actually is going to be in control of your field here when we go back to green flag racing, and we'll see if he can hang on. He does have the outside line here right now, so Brad Neer will take that inside line, but both of these drivers leading us back to green flag racing here at Daytona. I hope for our sake, for the last time here, this is going to be green flag all the way to the end, but I don't think that's going to happen, Will.
No, as Maconi's going to take us down to corner number 1. Our race leader here in that 03, making that 3 look good here once again at Daytona. We had the 88 leading, now we have the 3 leading here at Daytona. As Jeff Maconi is going to take us off of corner number 2 as our race leader down the backstretch.
Yeah, and he also has his teammate there, Joey Masevich, on the 64 to help him out. But Malillo making a huge run here to the outside. He's got a little bit of help, and not only from the 78 of Boyd, but also the 60 of Stanley here as we go to 7 laps to go. When we come back to the stripe this time by, this is the crunch time that we've been talking about so far. And look at this. Your field is actually kind of stretched out a little bit. About your top 9 cars right now are in a group to themselves, and then it's kind of starting to stretch back from that here. I will say, only 8 laps to go. If you're any of these cars that are kind of stringing behind here, you're looking for a caution, or you need to get your act together quick, or you're going to be falling behind this pack.
Yeah, right here on the apex of 1 and 2 right now, these drivers are using the words of Kyle Busch inside their head. They're telling themselves to be quiet across the radio. They want to focus on the finish right now. There's nothing left you can do right now with 7 laps to go. This is all or nothing right now. You want to put yourself in an excellent position. As you're starting to see there, Ian, these top 5 drivers, they're not very aggressive right now. I'd say in the next couple laps, you're going to start to see a little bit of a bob and weave, a little bit more of a gap shooting, starting to find those holes here as we cross this line here with 6 laps to go.
Well, you find out who your friends are. The song goes like that, and right now, if you're Jeff Maconi in the 03, you do have a friend there in Joey Masevich behind you in the 64. So I would have to imagine the 64 is going to stick with the 3 here for the majority of this race, but really the driver that's trying to make the move on the outside, and again, trying to make that outside line work, you see he hits a little bit of a run here heading down the backstretch, is going to be the 53 of Justin Malillo. And that truck is clean now. They've gotten their fast repair, so they could probably lead a line on this race here. He just needs to have, I would say, maybe about 2 or 3 more cars to make that outside line work. Right now, it's just him and Boyd, and everybody's kind of getting hung out on the top side. Really, the bottom is where you want to be here when we have 5 laps to go coming to the stripe this time by.
Yeah, something interesting, right, happened there, right with the 78 car there as we cross this line here with 5 laps to go. The 78 of Boyd, I think, may have checked up, gotten a little loose there. Lost a lot of ground, has now followed back into the inside lane there. It dropped back just a little bit now into the 6th position. Not really in a chance to compete right now, as now you see the 53 Melilio is going to get the door shut on him as well. As you see the 42 truck of Cornets there is going to try to work with him on the top side, but there's only 2 cars on the top side lane right now. As we head down the backstretch down into corner number 3, still Jeff Maconi is our race leader.
And it looks like about 7 trucks right now are in this lead pack that are really battling for the win. You can kind of see how far our pack and our field has been stretched out from behind that. Now you'll see the 60 of Stanley slide in behind Boyd there on that bottom slide. Now that leaves only the 42 of Cornish here on the outside, and they'll think better of it and move to the inside now as well. And Melillo kind of finds himself hung out to dry here on this outside, looking for any kind of help, any kind of dance partners here in the final 4 laps of this race. But I don't think he has anybody here right now. We get 1 more lap in this race, and if caution comes out, I believe we will find ourselves in a green-white checkered situation. So if you're that 0-3 of Maconi, you're hoping this thing stays green all the way to the end. Boyd pushed all the way out there to the bottom. He's hung out to the dry. This could be interesting. We do see 1 car around there. Melillo's around. We have other cars around there as well. That was from Boyd really just rejoining the track there, and you got to be really careful when you do that. I think that was a mistake of the 78 that really hurt a lot of other people more than it hurt him here late in this race, and I hate to call people out like that, but he got forced down to the bottom and then really just didn't care when he came back up the racetrack.
Now we're going to watch it here. The 78's going to get pushed out of line right there. And really, he had been losing spots there on the track there, Ian, trying to work himself back in. He's going to get forced out of the racetrack right there, as you mentioned. He's going to come in and try to squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really do not like calling people out here from this side of the microphone, and I understand it's completely different on the racetrack and what you see, but I'll say it, that was a little bit of a careless move there by the 78, and you see it here. I don't blame him. Forced down to the bottom of the racetrack, and I know lap count is getting tight, but just comes back up the track there, and I understand it. I really do. You find yourself with 3 laps to go here, Will, and I get it. I know what it's like, but you can't do that here because, unfortunately, for Boyd, he didn't really take any damage here. It was the rest of the trucks that were involved that were watched from Keenan Kuzin's point of view here. I think he's going to be able to avoid this one. Goes all the way in the grass here. You really don't try to take the chicane when you're on the oval configuration. I'll say that.
No, tried to take the rally cross route back onto the racetrack there. Take another look here on Maconi Entertainment of this replay. And you see maybe he just was feeling a certain way after getting a little sideways there, getting a little bit of a tap. You see the 53 truck who's ran really strong here tonight is going to get tagged up in that. A lot of excellent drivers are going to get tagged up. You see we're going to ride on board with the 42 truck of Cornets here. And you see right there, you see the 78 is going to get a little bit of a tap. The 78 is going to try to come back on the track as fast as possible. Maybe feeling a sort of way there. I would have to say you see the 88 is going to get tagged up as well. The 88 is going to get the worst of it there, Ian. But as you mentioned, just kind of a crazy move here to wrap things up here. We're going to go to a green-white checkered when we get this thing on and popping once again. But we started to see it just a little bit there in taking the 78 out of the equation. These drivers were starting to bob and weave just a little bit, trying to find those gaps. So I think the racing was starting to build up, and then the 78 lost positions, gets tagged up just a little bit. I think something may have went wrong with that 78 before that incident, and the 78 just tries to come back on the track there in an aggressive manner.
Oh, well, and it's kind of ironic in a sense, too, because you've seen the pushes from the 78 all night long, so he's no stranger to, aggressively pushing the truck in front of him. Really what got him out of shape there, I think, originally was somebody else giving him a little bit of a push there and just kind of pushed him out of line. And I do understand there the situation the driver's in. They want to try to get back on the racetrack and try to gain as many positions as they can and minimize the damage control. But really, all they did there was just bring out another yellow flag. I mean, they find themselves in 14th position here. I don't know how much damage they had. It's going to be tough to make it up from there, but we've chipped into the first of our 3 green-white checkered finishes, at least here. I know one driver that didn't want to see the caution flag out was Jeff Maconi, though.
No, definitely not. But I feel like the way Jeff took that last restart there, riding that inside lane there, and the way he's been able to block there at the lead, He's put in all the work here tonight, Ian. I don't see him giving up the lead just yet. It looks like he's going to pick the outside lane to start off, so that could be a good move there. Being able to slide down to the inside here, that drops the green flag.
Well, and also I think you see signs of a teammate start happening here, though. Misevich is going to be able to take the inside line there in the 64. That's Maconi's teammate. I wouldn't be too surprised here if you saw Misevich allow Maconi to get back down in front of him here, and they kind of just go back to that. I mean, you find out who your friends are. I made that joke already, but really this is a very advantageous position to be in if you're Misevich or Maconi here in a green-white checkered situation. You got your teammate on the same row as you. You guys could do a plethora of strategies here to get yourself into a situation where you're winning this race. So really good spot for them to be in as well. I think the next driver you look back at after that is going to be the driver on the inside line who's in second position. That's going to be Stanley here when we go back to green flag racing. So those are your guys to watch out for, but what do you think, Will?
Yeah, I think Stanley's definitely one to watch out for. Near in that 76. Watch out for Cornets as well on that 42. It's been an excellent push partner here tonight, but watch for him to start to push his way up this grid as well. I think right now when this green flag drops, you're going to see the horses get let out of the gate like it's the Kentucky Derby, and you're going to see which horse wants to win this race here tonight.
Our first of our green-white checkered here attempts here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the 2022 Saturday for the boys here on Maconi Entertainment. Jeff Maconi will lead the field back to the green flag here from Barney the Flagman. Joey Misevich, his teammate here. We'll see what he does, and just as I mentioned, he allows Maconi to slide in there for the lead of this race. Misevich now will do his best impression of a Sterling Marlin and try to hold off the rest of the field here as we go back to green flag racing. And kind of interesting about these green-white checkers here, Will, it's going to take a whole lap to get up to speed, and then we'll go racing.
Yeah, right now down the backstretch, it's a single file line right now, looking like the Nokia Snake game right now. It's one long line for about 7 or 8 positions, as now we're starting to see some drivers make a move to the outside, as right now Near has the 60 of Stanley there to his right side door. Coming off of corner number 4 right now, so Jeff Maconi is our race leader.
Jeff Maconi will come back to the start-finish line here, and you'll see that Barney the Flagman will have the white flag in his hand. One more lap to go. This race will be green all the way back to the start-finish line here. Jeffrey Maconi with his Maconi setup teammate Joey Misevich there in the second position, trying to hold off the 76 here of Near. I think they're in a really good shape here. If they could just continue to dominate that bottom line, you'll start to see the move to the outside here. They'll get a slight run here off the outside. That's going to be the 60 machine of Stanley, is going to try to make the move, but just doesn't have the help right now. And Maconi will come off of turn number 4 here with the help of Misevich. The 76 of Near will now go high with Stanley, but Stanley's going to leave him out to dry here at the last second. And coming back to the checkered flag, it's going to be Jeff Maconi who wins the 2022 Saturday for the boys. And preventative events, the Movember Foundation, and you can see just how pumped he is right now with that win. And really, you got to hand a lot of that to his teammate Joey Misevich and the 64 machine there. Really just the perfect teammate you can ask for coming back to the line.
What a race it was tonight, Ian, as Jeffrey Maconi, the boss here at Maconi Entertainment, the boss behind Maconi's setup shops, the Maconi Competitive Zone as well, the man who thought of this idea, the man who put all this together for charity, the man who thought about raising the money for Movember here, brought us on board to call this excellent race here tonight. It's him that wins the race here at Daytona, and what a race victory it's gonna be. You saw the excitement, you saw the emotion there on that simulator. We interviewed him about what this race means to him here tonight, so this race victory has to be extra special there for Jeff Maconi in that 03 machine.
Yeah, we'll watch Jeff Maconi here. He'll come back to the start-finish line and then burn it down with his win here at Daytona. This has been a long time coming, I will say, for Jeff here. He puts on a lot of these events and everything like that, but I will say he's had a few times where he's up there in the top 5, up there in the top 10, and things haven't gone his way. But really couldn't have asked for a more perfect situation. Joey Masevich, his teammate, right behind him here. I believe you have to give that win to Masevich as much as you have to give it here to Maconi here in the 03 as we see him celebrate on the grass fields here of Daytona. So he'll take that 0-3 Maconi setup machine to victory lane. But really just an excellent race here that we've seen from start to finish. Kind of what we expect here from Daytona. Incidents, guys trying to find the right place to go all night long, and then at the end of it we saw a green white checkered finish. So we'll take a full look at your race results here. Of course, your winner Jeff Maconi and then his teammate Joey Masevich make up the top 2 positions. Jeremy Stanley in 3rd, Brad Neer 4th, Dustin Veldhusen 5th, Brian Zabensky 6th. I apologize, Brian. Justin Malillo 7th, Keenan Kuzin 8th, Brian Boyd 9th, David Dunwoody rounds out your top 10 here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Back from there, we've got Jim Downman, Andrew Smith, Timothy Stubblefield, Carson Lucas, Logan Huckba making up your top 15. Andrew Bissonnette in the 69, disappointing run from him after he spent so much time near the front. Same thing with the 42 of Cornish in 17th position. Jeffrey Taylor comes across at 18th after leading a few laps. Dustin Logson 19th, and then Sean Rogers in the 33, your Michigan boy, finishes 5 laps down and round out your top 20. Back from there, Luke Desjardins in the 21st, Mike Davenport 22nd, Chuck McDonald 23rd, Andrew Baker 24th, David Collier 25th, Chris Phillips 26th, Dustin Slater 27th, Bob Burlew 28th, Jonathan Green 29th, and then Jermaine Vines from Carolina will round out your top 30. The rest of our field here, the rest of our 36 car field, Kevin Carlisle, Eric Sellers, Randy Peer, Donald Fisher, Paul Versberg, and the Christopher Hedden will round out your 36 car field. So we'll take a little bit of a break here from Maconi Entertainment, and on the flip side of that break, we'll come back and we'll have interviews from Jeff Maconi, Joey Masevich, and the rest of your podium finishers here this evening. And we really appreciate you coming in. You're tuning in to this 2022 Saturday for the Boys Movember event. You can still go and donate here. We'll give you a few seconds to do that from our break. And on the flip side of the break, we'll come back with your podium interviews.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Maconi Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Maconi Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MaconiSetupShop.com and learn why Maconi Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
We're back here on Maconi Entertainment for the 2022 Saturday for the Boys, which benefits the Movember Foundation. We're standing by here at Victory Lane with Jeff Maconi. And Jeff, we're taking a look at your truck right now here. Congratulations on your win. I know this one was heartbreaking for you last year. We were just talking about it. But how does it feel to get that 0-3 machine into Victory Lane this evening?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I was a mess the last. As soon as I took the lead, I was a nervous wreck, and Joey is one of my best friends in the world, and I knew with him behind me we would be good. He and I race together, 4 or 5 times a week. He is on the board of directors at Maconi Setup Shop. I value his input highly on everything, and he really means a lot to me as a friend, as a person, as a driver, and so he could have jumped out. I know he could have jumped out and won this thing, and I know it 100%. But it says a lot about him to push me to that win. It's incredible. This race means a lot to me. This race means so much to me personally. It means a lot to a lot of people on here, a lot of people that have relied on Movember. This is my favorite event to put on each year because it means so much to so many people, myself included. And last year I lost the race at the line by a couple thousandths of a second, and it broke my heart. I'd never been so mad at myself over losing a race. And to come back this year and play it smart and dodge the wrecks and be smart and patient, save my fast repair, and to have an amazing teammate like Joey behind me and David pushing and Brad who jumped out at the end and everything. It was just incredible. It has not fully hit me yet. And if this is me when it hasn't fully hit me, then just imagine when it has. But I have to thank everyone here that showed up, everyone that donated, everyone involved in the race. The amount of money we raised is incredible, and I'm very, very proud of everyone involved here to help make that happen. I have to thank Joey massively. I can't possibly thank him enough. And just everyone involved behind the scenes, my board of directors, everyone involved at Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competizone, Maconi Setup Shop, Abruzzi Racewear, who gave me this awesome uniform, the Sim Racer movie, WSMN Broadcasting, Ron the Snack Guy, and I did get all of them early in the race. I can't believe that. While driving, I listed off all my sponsors, and a huge thanks to Movember as well. Last year we put on this event, and it was very successful. We raised a lot of money for them, and I was very proud of it. And this year they helped us just as much. They gave us a lot of support with their personnel. Their team behind the scenes was constantly checking in on us. Hey, what do you need from us? What can we do? How can we help? Everything. They are truly an incredible organization. They have a lot of great projects that they work on around the world. They focus on male-specific issues, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, men's mental health, suicide, depression awareness, all of these incredible things. I mean, they sent me a pair of boxers, which I think is really cool. So it's got mustaches and shaving cream and beavers and everything else on them. So thank you to them for sending those to me so that I could wear them on the broadcast. Yeah, here they are. I showed them off. But yeah, I am grateful. It hasn't fully sunk in yet, but I am so incredibly grateful, thankful for everything. I can't believe it.
Well, I mean, it's good to have the teammates with you. I will say that, and Joey really did help you. And also, I know you have all these different ventures with Maconi, but maybe with the underwear now, Maconi only fans. Just saying. I mean, like, we could see it coming in the future here, Jeff. So, congratulations on the win tonight. Go celebrate with Joey. We got to talk to him here in a second. But once you're done, go celebrate with Joey. You probably got to buy him a beer. I'm just saying, he helped you win that race a lot. But congratulations on your first place finish, Jeff. And we appreciate you setting everything up for us here. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and honest to God, put this, use it as proof, hold it against me. I don't know how I'm going to get, Joey lives in Pennsylvania, I don't know how I'm going to get it there, but some way or another, I am going to buy him a full bottle of champagne, and I'm going to buy one for myself, and we're going to celebrate. It is just as much his win as it is mine, and I'm so grateful to have him as a teammate and everyone at Maconi Setup Shop. David Collier was out here all race, and then at the end when he was out of the race, he was spotting for us and helping us out and doing the very difficult job of keeping me calm, which is not an easy task. But yeah, thank you once again to all the sponsors: Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competizone, Abruzzi Racewear, the Sim Racer movie, which is dropping soon. I believe on Amazon Prime is where it's going to come out first. WSMN Broadcasting, 1590 AM. You can go to WSMN.live. Ron the Snack Guy, I'm going to have some of his cookies and snacks that he sends me all the time. Be sure to check him out. It's a veteran-owned company. He's an amazing guy. Ron the Snack Guy out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Be sure to check him out. And yeah, thank you to everyone that's watching. I know my parents were watching, so thank you to them. I don't know if my brother's watching and his wife. Bridget and her friends were watching, so yeah, I'm very, very thankful to everyone, and thank you to you guys for what was certainly an incredible broadcast.
Well, that was Jeff Maconi, driver of the 03 machine, and also just the organizer for everything we've done tonight here. He wins from Daytona this evening, so we'll go ahead and say goodbye to Jeff. We'll bring the man that, honestly, in my opinion, won that race for Jeff, Joey Masevich. And Joey, you're standing beside here with Will now on the garage area.
Yeah, Joey, it's an honor to talk to you, man. We just listened to Jeff Maconi's victory lane speech there. Couldn't thank you enough for your teamwork and for your ability there at the end. Take us through that race, and he said that there was a 100% chance that you could have pulled it out there and won the race yourself. What does this race mean to you, and how are you able to kind of hold back and be a great teammate there throughout tonight's race?
I don't know if it matters what this race means to me because of how much it means to Jeff. I mean, I was going to push him all the way. I tried last year, and we got so close to getting him the win. And knowing how much it means for him, that's really all that mattered tonight. I obviously I saw that there was an opportunity, especially with the 76, was it there, poking his nose out, that if it was a race that I needed to win, I had the opportunity, I had the window, but it wasn't a race that I needed to win. It was a race that Jeff did, so I'm really happy to bring it to him for Movember, for Maconi Setup Shop, Bruzy Racewear, all the partners that stick with us through all these things and help us put on such a good show.
Yeah, it was sort of the ebb and flows of this race. And for you and Jeff both, it was almost a strategy of keeping your trucks clean, working through the field, kind of just taking one spot after the other. Is that sort of the strategy that you both kind of applied here tonight?
Yeah, we have nothing but confidence in our ability to work together on tracks like this. I mean, we can steal a win out of the smallest possibility if we have even a little bit of it line up for us. It's just working so effectively and having the reps, having the practice in. But we spent most of the race just trying not to get caught up in things and trying to maintain having a fast repair just in case we needed it coming to the lead, coming to the checkered, coming to the end of the race. And unfortunately, we had that one incident where there was a bobble coming to the green, and I got in the back of him. Luckily, that didn't hurt either of us in any meaningful way. And then I decided to try and knock off some cobwebs and got caught up in exactly what we were trying to avoid halfway through the race. So I had to burn my fast repair, and we were just kind of running worried that one of us wouldn't have the support at the end. But right place, right time, we pulled it off and brought it home.
Yeah, and actually my co-host of the evening, Ian, mentioned it a few times in those closing laps that, he really felt Jeff was in an excellent spot to win this race because you were right there as well in that 64 machine. Did you guys sort of talk over the radio or in the VC chat, talking about how you're going to get this job done and closing out that stage? Of course, there was a lot of instances there at the top of the grid. Did you all sort of just keep your cool, even though you're starting to see those dominoes fall? Did you guys really stick to that same strategy of just linking up together and then getting that race victory?
Yeah, in the B cars and a lot of time in the C opens, I tend to run by the philosophy that the middle line is usually what prevails, especially if it's got any kind of organized support to it. It's just the advantage of pulling the air and flowing down the inside line. But Jeff was telling me, we got to keep to the bottom. He's been paying close attention, strategizing, analyzing what's going on up front, and he didn't see anything with everybody on the same setup here that the midline had that much strength. So we did everything we could to kind of get both of us lined up, stacked up, and sitting on the bottom, and just did what we know how to do best: just keep digging, keep pushing, and haul around the track.
Yes, sir. But Joey, you're going to finish second here tonight, right behind your main man, Jeff Maconi. He said that he's going to buy you both a bottle of champagne for tonight's race. He's going to send it to you, and you're going to share that bottle together. But before we let you go here tonight, is there anybody that you wanted to thank, possibly what this race means to you? And Jeff had a long list of sponsors. Do you have any sponsors you want to mention here tonight as well?
Men's health is something that gets overlooked a lot because we're told to be tough and told to just rough it out. And it's nice to see any cause that supports things that don't get talked about as much. So Movember's fantastic to have. We're thrilled that they were willing to be a part of this. And again, Maconi Setup Shop for putting me in this position to help Jeff get this win. A Bruzy Racewear for giving me the gloves and the boots that really hone my skills and allow me to translate them through the wheel and pedals and just everybody. It was a great race and it's great to get Jeff the win.
Yeah, man, it was definitely an excellent race for us up here in the booth. It means a lot, I think, to everybody involved in tonight's race. It means a lot for us up here in the booth. It means a lot for all you drivers as well. With the entry fee, you guys donated to the cause as well. But Joey, it was an entertaining race. It was a great race. You were an excellent teammate there at the end. Want to appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man, and go celebrate with Jeff here tonight. For being a great teammate and a great finish here tonight at Daytona.
Thank you.
And that was Joey in that 64 machine. Ian's going to come home second here tonight, being a great teammate there at the end. He said if it was a race he had to win, he probably would have won it, but here tonight wanted to give that race victory to Jeff Maconi. But I believe you were catching up with our third place finisher, Jeremy Stanley, in that 60 machine. Going to finish third here tonight, right behind those two teammates.
Yeah, Jeremy, you kind of snuck your way out to the outside line there and able to kind of steal third place away. What was your thoughts coming through the green-white checkered and coming back to the checker flag that time?
Yeah, that wreck that happened on lap, maybe lap 98, I forget what's lap. I had a little bit of nose damage, and so that was the first time I was able to lead the line after getting that repaired. I was not sure how the truck was going to perform being the lead truck. I was really hoping that 64, I did not know at the time he was going to glue to his bumper. But after I tried it the second time, trying to use that side draft, and I saw no movement to the top, I was like, well, it's either going to be third or fourth. And as a defending race winner last year for the inaugural race, I wanted to try to bring home the W once again. But able to still slightly, I think we tied, went down to 10,000ths of a second for that finish for third and fourth. We tied at a 0.145 away. So I would like to know what that fourth number looks like, but just gave it hell. And thankfully, the 76 moved up slightly for me. Was able to wedge to the bottom, and just merely got that third place.
Well, just able to barely get third place, and you mentioned it. I don't even have the number here in front of me as well. I just see a gap of 0.145. So yeah, that was closer than I even realized at the beginning here. Jeremy, you mentioned you won last year in this event. I mean, how do you feel coming in? Did you feel like you were going to go back to victory lane again, or were you just looking to have some fun out here?
A little bit of both. I've been not the best when it comes to overall super speedway racing, but these events that I keep coming into this year, it's just been having better luck. So the setup was a little more unfavorable with a little bit of a dead zone issue to me, at least anyways. So I rode in the back a little bit more so because I just wanted to, plus we had no practice. It was a closed off practice. There's no drafting, no anything. So when we took the green flag, that was our first time mingling with other drivers. So I just took extra precaution, had to use my fast repair on lap 30. And so after that, I had to really play it safe. And then a couple cautions, I was able to somehow just earn spots that way and then fight, within the top 10 to get to the top 5. And thankfully, third place opened up.
Yeah, fought yourself into third place, and it's that time of the night for you, Jeremy. Who hopes you get it done? Who helped you get to that third place finish?
Well, the colors on my truck, nerditudes.gg. We do a lot of things with broadcasting races and game streams, and I just opened up a paint shop with the raps.nerditudes.gg. Those two alone do a lot for us. smartsports906.com. Also a huge partner for us to able to keep us going. A couple other guys as well, iRacing.iflag.com and Team Watson Racing Setups. Those guys giving out, and roastedgems.com too. All the sponsors on my truck. Thank you guys if you're able to catch any of the logos on there. You're on there for a reason. Appreciate you all. You've done a lot for me. Disabled man. Matt tried to come back, to get podium for the third time in a row. I'll take third place happily, though.
Well, third place here tonight for Jeremy Stanley, the winner here from Daytona last year, and was able to win by thousandths of a second here tonight. And we appreciate Jeremy coming and taking some time to talk to us. And Will, that's going to about do us here for us here on Maconi Entertainment. We were able to raise at the end of the night $1,181 for the Movember Foundation, and that was just incredible. I think, Will, I really appreciate everybody that's come in and donated up to this point. And remember, donations are still open even though this race is over. You can still go to that QR code that you saw, run it back a little bit, scan that QR code, go and get your donations done. But Will, as far as the racing action goes, just kind of what we expected here at Daytona, a lot of two wide, sometimes three wide racing, came down to a green wide checkered finish. Really, I think just what we expected so far.
Yeah, it really was, and I think we were kind of taken aback by the intensity in the start to this race here tonight, with all the drivers really pushing along, really inching their way forward. And we really saw there the last 50 laps, or the last 75 laps, really, to go back a little bit further. A lot of the drivers are pushing their way, and what I predicted is that we'd have more cautions there in the tail end of those packs, so there's a lot more at the top of the pack going from the top side to the low side, and that really opened the door for a lot of these drivers to work their way up through the grid, including Jeff Maconi and his best friend Joey right there. They worked their way up through the grid methodically, ended up at the lead there at the end, and what a huge win it was for Jeff Maconi there here.
No, really a huge win for Jeff Maconi, and congratulations again from all of us here at Maconi Entertainment to your winner, Jeff Maconi here tonight. Joey Masevich able to push him there to that first place finish, and then also Jeremy Stanley as well. And again, all the drivers that came out and raced today made at least a $10 donation to the Movember Foundation. And like I said, those donations are still open here. They're not closed yet. You can still make a donation here for our Movember fundraiser event. But on behalf of myself here, Will Tiller, my colleague here from Daytona this evening, Ryan Bauer running all the cameras you see behind the scenes, all the graphics, Jeff Maconi, everybody over at Admin Box that was able to help us out with the race control aspect of this race. And then, of course, the Movember Foundation you see on your screen as well. That QR code can still be used to make donations. And I hope if you're watching this now and you haven't donated yet, you go ahead and take that time to donate now. But again, on behalf of myself and all the colleagues here at Maconi Entertainment, we really appreciate you tuning in to the 2022 Saturday for the Boys in benefit in November, and hope you join us again next year for this great charity event.